Chapter 51. Inside the hall. The old man in white looked at the crystal in his hand. Was there something wrong with the crystal? It shouldn't be. He walked to the front of the altar with a head full of doubts. He stretched out his old hand and pressed it on the crystal. Then, he closed his eyes and meditated. Buzz. The crystal trembled again and again. A total of 3 times. I have level 3 mental power. There's nothing wrong with the crystal. Suddenly, he opened his eyes. He opened his eyes. His doubts disappeared and were replaced by anger. His old face twitched as well. Since there was nothing wrong with the crystal, it could only mean that he was cheated by that kid. Brat, I'm not done with you today. He gritted his teeth and ran to the door angrily. Old Feng, what happened? Luo Xiong grabbed him with a confused face. That kid has level 9 mental power. The old man in white pushed him away and ran out of the hall without looking back. What? Luo Xiong was stunned. When he first came, he thought that Qin Feiyang did something stupid and offended the old man in front of him. That was why he treated Qin Feiyang so rudely. When he heard the old man say that he had level 9 mental power, he thought it was a joke. He didn't expect it to be true. Luo Xiong quickly chased after the old man and pulled him back. He said seriously, Old Feng, you can't joke about this. Tell me seriously now. Does he really have level 9 mental power? I'll tell you responsibly. He does have level 9 mental power. The old man in white said. Luo Xiong's body shook. His eyes shone brightly. He said in a low voice, Old Feng, no matter what, you have to let him join the pill hall. Also, only you and I can know about this. We can't let a third person know. Cut the crap. If you don't chase after him, he'll run away. The old man in white looked down and was extremely anxious. Wherever he looked, Qin Feiyang ran towards the street as if he was running for his life. Don't worry. He can't run away. Jiang Haotian, stop right there. With a loud roar, Luo Xiong leaped from the peak and landed steadily on the ground. Qin Feiyang's complexion slightly changed. He hastily rushed into the crowd. What happened? When the pedestrians saw this, they were all at a loss. You're still running. Luo Xiong's face was dark as he said angrily, whoever can stop him, I will reward 10,000 qi amassing pills. As soon as he said this, the entire street instantly boiled over. Go. Stop him. The passers-by who had been watching the fun rushed toward Qin Feiyang as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Is there a need to do this? Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Using the shifting smoke steps, he dodged again and again as if there was no one around. This brat is so slippery. Let's stand in a row, don't let him slip away. More than a dozen people held hands and stood in front of him. Little guy, let's see how you're going to run this time. When Luo Xiong saw this, he couldn't help but sneer. Qin Feiyang glanced at the dozen or so people, then turned back to look at the rapidly approaching Luo Xiong. Frowning slightly, he stomped on the ground with all his might and jumped directly onto the roof of a nearby building. Then, without looking back, he left. Kid, don't run. Luo Xiong's expression changed. His battle qi gushed out and he quickly rushed to the roof. However, he couldn't find Qin Feiyang's shadow even though he looked around. Can this brat fly? Luo Xiong frowned. The white-clothed old man ran over, raised his head and asked, Palace Master, where is he? Luo Xiong carefully looked around again. He jumped down from the roof and landed in front of the white-clothed old man. He shook his head and said, that brat is too slippery, I can't see him anymore. You're a 1-star combat emperor, how could you lose him? You're really useless. The white-clothed old man pointed at Luo Xiong's nose. He was so angry that his body was trembling. Old phone, I'm still the palace master of the Dan Palace. Don't you know how to behave when you talk to me like this? Luo Xiong's eyes were filled with displeasure and embarrassment. I don't care. If I can't find him today, I won't let you off. After the white-clothed old man finished speaking, he entered a small alley and started searching alone. Sigh, my head hurts. Luo Xiong rubbed his forehead. He glanced at the crowd and said loudly, I'll increase the price now. Whoever can find Jiang Haotian will be rewarded 20,000 gold coins. 100,000. This Jiang Haotian, what kind of heinous thing did he do in the Dan Palace? Who cares? That's 100,000 gold coins. I must find him. The crowd dispersed in an uproar, and with excitement, they searched the entire city. The Imperial Palace's bounty is 10,000 gold coins, but the Dan Palace's bounty is 20,000 gold coins. This Dan Palace has better foresight than the Imperial Palace. Brother Wolf, don't you think so? Qin Feiyang was hiding in the ancient castle. He looked at Wolf King and laughed. Wolf King grinned. He seemed to agree with what Qin Feiyang said. Oh right. Qin Feiyang patted his head and took out the beast spirit pill. He passed it to Wolf King and said with a smile, Brother Wolf, I'll keep my word. This beast spirit pill is for you. Wolf King's eyes lit up. He stuck out his tongue and sucked the beast spirit pill into his mouth. Qin Feiyang held his breath and looked forward to it. Buzz. Suddenly, the Wolf King's body emitted rays of dazzling white light. But soon, the light faded away. I can finally talk, the next moment. A rather excited voice sounded in Qin Feiyang's mind. But why was this voice a bit strange? Qin Feiyang frowned and asked Wolf King, Are you talking to me? Nonsense, other than Brother Wolf, is there anyone else here? Wolf King rolled his eyes. Huh, Qin Feiyang looked at Wolf King in a daze. Suddenly, he raised his head and laughed. He thought that Wolf King's voice would be full of vigor and fierceness. But the result was far beyond his expectations. Not only did it not have any fierceness, but it also sounded young. It was like the voice of a 7 or 8-year-old boy. It was completely incompatible with its ferocious appearance. It also completely subverted the image of Wolf King in his mind. Think about it. To put a child's voice on an adult's body, how funny, how different would that be? Seeing this, Wolf King's veins bulged, his face darkened, and he said, Shut up, if you laugh again, I'll get angry. You can't blame me for this. Look, your appearance is quite fierce, even children will be scared to tears by you, but your voice, why is it so funny? Could it be that there's a problem with the beast spirit pill? Huh, Qin Feiyang laughed so hard that he couldn't stop at all. Ayo. Wolf King couldn't take it anymore and bit Qin Feiyang's arm. You're serious? Qin Feiyang's expression changed, and he hurriedly dodged. Then continue laughing. The Wolf King stared at him sneakily. I won't laugh, Qin Feiyang waved his hand again and again, but his face was red. Wolf King rolled his eyes at him and sighed, a long time ago, Brother Wolf wanted a beast spirit pill, but as a handsome and mighty wolf, I really didn't dare to break into your human town. Little Qin Zi, thank you. Qin Feiyang's face twitched. It seemed that the words handsome and mighty had nothing to do with a wolf, right? Wolf King stood up, patted Qin Feiyang's shoulder, and said with a smile, Little Qin Zi, in order to repay you, Brother Wolf will protect you from now on. Qin Feiyang nodded. But the next moment, he reacted and said angrily, What do you mean? Do I need your protection? Also, don't call me Little Qin Zi. From your voice, I can tell that I'm older than you. You should call me brother, understand? TCH, who do you think you are? When Brother Wolf roamed the mountains and forests, you were still wearing diapers. Wolf King was disdainful. Shameless. Qin Feiyang was disdainful. According to his estimation, Wolf King had been born for at most 8 years. In other words, when he became famous in the imperial capital, Wolf King was not even born yet. Ow! The Wolf King didn't say anything and took another bite. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Ow! Wolf cub, let go. Ow! If you don't let go, Brother Wolf will beat you. Ow! I'm warning you, don't go too far. Ow! Damn it, you white-eyed wolf. If a tiger doesn't show its power, do you think I'm a sick cat? Take this. The man and the wolf bickered for a while, then began to cultivate separately. Outside, there was already an uproar. Luo Xiong's 20,000 bounty for Qin Feiyang was already known by everyone. The people of Black Bear City were all looking for his whereabouts as if they had gone crazy. The restaurant he was staying in was also found very quickly. After the white-clothed old man heard the news, he had been waiting there, waiting for him. That afternoon, Luo Xiong increased the bounty again, 30,000. The next day, he increased the bounty again, 40,000. In the end, Luo Xiong put a bounty of 100,000 gold coins. This time, even the 3 big families were alarmed. Mu Fei and Jiang Wei even personally led the martial ancestor experts in their families to search for him. They thought that Qin Feiyang had offended the Pill Palace, which was why Luo Xiong put a bounty on him. Therefore, this was a good opportunity for revenge. However, after a month, no one found any trace of Qin Feiyang. It was as if he had disappeared from the face of the earth. In the ancient castle, Qin Feiyang's fingers paused. At the same time, suddenly, a beam of dazzling light shot out from the book. After a month of painstaking copying and consuming a total of 8,000 qi gathering pills, Qin Feiyang finally copied the 3rd stroke. His cultivation realm also increased to a 4-star martial master. He retracted his arm. Looking at the word "return" on the iron book, his eyes were full of expectation. There were 3 strokes left. After he copied it, he would be able to truly master the return formula, giving him a taste of his own medicine. When he thought of the terrifying power of the return formula, he couldn't help but be excited. Phew! After letting out a long breath, he closed the iron book, lowered his head, and frowned slightly. If he remembered correctly, when he was outside the treasure pavilion, Patriarch Jiang and Patriarch Mu mentioned the 4 words "big hunting competition." At that time, from their tone, it seemed that this big hunting competition had a special meaning. Seeing that Wolf King was still cultivating, he directly left the ancient castle and appeared on the roof. He lied on the roof, hid himself well, and looked at the surrounding streets. His eyes suddenly had a trace of surprise. At this moment, it was already late in the morning. Usually, at this time, there would be a lot of people on the streets, bustling with noise. Chapter 52. There must be something fishy going on. Qin Feiyang scanned the surroundings and locked his gaze on a certain spot on the left side of the street. There was a muscular man who was hurrying on his way alone. He pulled out pale snow and jumped down, landing on the street. He silently ran behind the brawny man and pressed the tip of pale snow against the brawny man's back. He said in a low voice, "Don't turn your head, don't make a sound, or I'll kill you immediately." The muscular man's body trembled and his face turned pale. Qin Feiyang said, "Answer me, where are the people from Black Bear City?" The muscular man said, "They all went outside the city." "They all went outside the city?" Qin Feiyang frowned and asked, "Why did they go outside the city?" "Today is the annual big hunting competition, and they all went to join in the fun," the burly man explained in detail. It turned out that the big hunting competition was organized by the Martial Arts Hall, Pill Hall, Precious Treasure Pavilion, and the City Lord Mansion. And it would be held every other year. Therefore, the big hunting competition had basically become a custom in Black Bear City. Similarly, this was also a good opportunity to stand out. If one could perform well in the big hunting competition, he might be valued by the four major forces. Of course, the rewards would definitely be great. But there was a restriction. People above martial ancestor realm could not participate. Only martial masters and martial artists below martial ancestor realm could participate. After understanding the situation, Qin Feiyang did not make things difficult for the muscular man and left secretly. When the muscular man looked back carefully, he had already disappeared without a trace. Outside the city, there was a vast plain. At this moment, there was a sea of people here, cheering like thunder. Below the city wall, there was a wide platform, and there were 15 figures sitting on it. The city lord, martial arts hall master, pill hall master, precious treasure pavilion master, and the four major forces of Black Bear City, sat in the front row. The people in the back row were the family heads of the major clans in Black Bear City, led by the Mu clan, Jiang clan, and Ling clan. On both sides of the platform, there were dozens of guards in iron armor, standing straight like poles. Their sharp eyes scanned the surroundings and maintained the order of the scene. Below the platform, there were young people standing neatly. There were both males and females, and they were all hale and hearty, in high spirits. They were the strongest generation in Black Bear City. There were disciples from various large clans and ordinary families, but without exception, they were all martial artists. Although there was no restriction on mortals participating in the big hunting match, the location of the hunt was in the Black Bear Mountain, where fierce beasts roamed. Mortals would definitely die if they entered. Therefore, no mortal would be foolish enough to throw their lives away. After Qin Feiyang left the city, he hid in a big tree in the distance, using the lush branches and leaves to hide his figure, quietly observing. The city lord has something to say, please be quiet. Suddenly, one of the guards shouted. The entire place fell silent. A middle-aged man sitting in the front row stood up and walked towards the edge of the platform. Qin Feiyang looked over. That person was 7 feet tall and wore gorgeous clothes. He walked with a majestic gait and his eyes were like torches. He had a dignified aura about him. The annual hunting competition has begun again. Isn't everyone very excited now? Do you want to go to Black Bear Mountain immediately? But everyone should calm down and listen to what the city lord has to say. Because this year's reward is much more generous than the previous ones. After the discussion between the city lord, the martial arts hall master, the pill hall master, and the precious treasure pavilion master, the first place of this year's competition will be rewarded with 1 million gold coins. The second place will be rewarded with 500,000 gold coins. The third place will be rewarded with 200,000 gold coins. The fourth place to the 10th place will be rewarded with 50,000 gold coins each. And, the first place will be rewarded with an additional alchemy fire. Before the city lord finished his words, the people below were already excited. Even Qin Feiyang's heart was burning with excitement. Alchemy fire. 1 million gold coins. What did he lack the most now? Without a doubt, it was gold coins and alchemy fire. Although he had 200,000 gold coins in savings now, there were still many places where he would need gold coins in the future. The most expensive one was the return formula. If it increased by 4 times, the fourth stroke would require 32,000 chi gathering pills, not to mention the fifth and sixth strokes. All of these required money. 200,000 gold coins was far from enough. As for alchemy fire, it was one of the necessary conditions for refining elixirs. But every alchemy fire was very precious. Even the most ordinary alchemy fire was very useful. However, alchemy fire was basically controlled by the pill hall. If one didn't join the pill hall, it would be harder than reaching the heavens to get one. And, every alchemy fire that appeared would cause a crazy fight among the strong. With his current strength, how could he win against those people? So, he had to participate in this hunting competition. He had to get his hands on the alchemy fire. After the city lord finished speaking, he returned to his seat and discussed with the three giants beside him in a low voice. The city lord has already announced the rewards. Now I will ask again, who else wants to participate in the hunting competition? If there is, please come and register quickly. The guard who spoke first faced the crowd and said loudly, I want to participate. Qin Feiyang shouted without hesitation, then jumped down from the big tree and ran straight to the high platform. It's Jiang Haotian. He is still in Black Bear City. Everyone's eyes fell on Qin Feiyang in an instant. He is worth 100,000 gold coins, everyone quickly surround him, don't let him run away again. In the crowd, someone shouted loudly. Thousands of people suddenly seemed to have taken stimulants and surrounded Qin Feiyang. Damn it! Seeing such a situation, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but swear on the spot. He quickly turned around and ran away. Although alchemy fire and gold coins were important, these people were even more terrifying. Once he was surrounded, it was very likely that he would be chopped into pieces. Everyone stop. But at this moment, a majestic voice sounded. Luo Xiong stood up and released his aura, covering the whole place. Anyone who was shrouded by this aura felt as if they had fallen into a 10,000-year-old ice cellar. Their whole body was cold and they instinctively stopped. Qin Feiyang looked back at Luo Xiong, thought carefully, then turned and walked towards the high platform. The crowd automatically separated. Those pairs of fanatical eyes made him feel very uncomfortable. When he passed by Mu Fei's eyes flashed coldly and he whispered, Jiang Haotian, you actually dare to come out. When we go to Black Bear Mountain, I will be the first to cripple you. Qin Feiyang ignored him. When he passed by Jiang Wei also said meaningfully, a lot of things can change in a month. This time you are dead. Qin Feiyang still didn't pay attention to him. Jiang Haotian, seeing is better than hearing. You are really different, but the big hunting competition is not playing house. You can lose your life at any time. You have to be careful. When he passed by a purple-clothed youth, such a sentence entered his ears. He stopped slightly and looked at the purple-clothed youth. This person was about 15 or 16 years old. His facial features were exquisite, his skin was snow-white, his eyes and long hair were sky-blue. The overall feeling he gave people was very strange. It could be said that he was better looking than those beautiful women. If there was no Adam's apple, it was believed that many people would mistake him for a woman at first glance. But in that pair of sky-blue eyes, Qin Feiyang caught a wisp of shrewdness. It was enough to explain. This person was not a sissy. Thank you for your reminder. Qin Feiyang smiled, turned and walked down the high platform. He cupped his hands and said, Junior Jiang Haotian greets seniors. Several people looked at him curiously. Suddenly, the corner of Luo Xiong's mouth lifted, pursing a trace of playfulness, and said proudly, Boy, you are finally willing to come out. Qin Feiyang frowned. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but in Luo Xiong's words, he heard a hint of conspiracy. Luo Xiong didn't continue to talk nonsense. He returned to his seat and ordered the guards on the side to issue tokens. More than a dozen guards took out their chinkun bags, poured out a large pile of tokens, and piled them on the edge of the high platform. One for each person, don't fight. One of the guards said expressionlessly. Qin Feiyang stood at the front, the first to get the token, and looked at it carefully. But suddenly, two hands appeared at the same time and pushed him fiercely. Caught off guard, Qin Feiyang crashed into the high platform, and blood spurted out from his nose on the spot. Haven't you heard that a good dog doesn't block the way? Since you got the token, then get out of the way, don't block everyone's way. At the same time, two mocking voices came into his ears. Immediately, Qin Feiyang's heart was filled with a raging anger. He turned around and saw Mu Fei and Jiang Wei with their arms crossed, looking at him mockingly. What, do you still care? Do you want to arouse public indignation before you are satisfied? The two of them didn't hide their sneers. Jiang Haotian, if you don't get out of the way, don't blame us for throwing you out. The group of teenagers behind them also looked at Qin Feiyang unhappily. Qin Feiyang glanced at these people and silently retreated to the side. However, in the depths of his eyes, there was a trace of cold light. Once or twice, for Luo Qingzhu's sake, he could endure it. But 3 or 4 times, then don't blame him for being ruthless. Next to him, the strange purple-clothed youth glanced at Qin Feiyang and then glanced at Jiang Wei and the others. A hint of ridicule flashed across his eyes as he muttered, "What a bunch of idiots." Half an hour later, everyone who participated in the competition received a token. More than a dozen guards gathered together and bowed their heads for a moment. One of them walked to the front of the 4 giants, bowed and said, "There are a total of 3,200 people participating in this competition, please give your orders." "Let's begin." Luo Xiong laughed. The guard turned around, glanced at the participants, and shouted, "Old rules, 10 days is the limit, set off immediately." "Let's go." The crowd suddenly dispersed and rushed toward the mountain behind them. Qin Feiyang also turned around, mixed in the crowd, and walked toward the mountain, but his eyes were always on the token. The token was the size of a palm, completely black, without half a word or picture, and looked very ordinary. But this token must have some meaning. But what was it? At this time. Chapter 53. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows slightly, turned to look at the purple-clothed youth, and said with a smile, "This is indeed my first time participating. When we enter the Black Bear Mountain, I hope that brother will take care of me." The demonic youth said, "It's okay to take care of me, but cooperation is fine." "How about it, consider it." Cooperation. Qin Feiyang's pupils contracted. This person clearly knew that he and Jiang Wei had a grudge, yet he still wanted to cooperate with him. Wasn't he afraid of being hated by Jiang Wei and Jiang Wei? "May I know your name, brother?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Ling Yunfei, Black Bear City's Ling family." The demonic youth said word by word. Qin Feiyang suddenly realized. So it was the Ling family. No wonder he was not afraid of offending Jiang Wei and Jiang Wei. But what made him curious was that when this person said the words Black Bear City, why did he sound like he was gnashing his teeth? At this time, a group of people ran past the two of them, led by a young man of about 20 years old. Seeing Ling Yunfei and Qin Feiyang walking together, he raised his eyebrows slightly and shouted, "Ling Yunfei, hurry up and follow." But there was a trace of disgust in his eyes. Qin Feiyang clearly caught it and became more and more curious. Without thinking, he knew that these people must be Ling Yunfei's clansmen. Ling Yunfei looked at Qin Feiyang, and then looked at the clansman not far away, with a trace of struggle in his eyes. "What are you doing? Hurry up and leave." The two youths shouted impatiently. Ling Yunfei's body trembled slightly. He looked at the clansmen's faces one by one, and could only see contempt and disdain. In the end, he gritted his teeth, looked at the young man in the lead, and shook his head. "Ling Sheng, I don't plan to go with you. You can go first." Ling Sheng raised his eyebrows and looked at Qin Feiyang thoughtfully. "Up to you." Ling Sheng left these words indifferently before leading his clansmen away. This trash really doesn't know how to appreciate favors. Does he think that by being together with Jiang Haotian, he can find a chance to stand out? Naive. Just wait, Jiang Wei and Mu Fei won't let Jiang Haotian go. The closer you get to him, the faster you'll die. Who cares? Without him holding us back, our chances of winning will be higher. That's right. We've finally gotten rid of this burden. We should be happy. Huh, the undisguised mocking laughter entered Qin Feiyang's ears. He frowned and turned to look at Ling Yunfei. He saw Ling Yunfei clenching his fists and staring at his clansmen who were gradually disappearing into the distance. His sky-blue eyes were filled with endless fury. Looks like he's also a person with a story. Qin Feiyang inwardly cursed. After a brief consideration, he patted Ling Yunfei's shoulder and smiled. I agree to cooperate with you. What? Ling Yunfei's gaze trembled as he looked at Qin Feiyang in disbelief. He thought that Qin Feiyang would refuse to cooperate with him after hearing those words. After all, who would be willing to cooperate with someone who others called trash? However, he did not expect the other party to agree. Qin Feiyang smiled. Let's go. By the way, tell me about the rules of the competition and the use of this token. Ling Yunfei chased after him hurriedly. You're not going to ask about my strength? Why should I? Qin Feiyang asked instead. If you don't ask, how would you know if I'll implicate you? Ling Yunfei frowned. Then tell me, will you implicate me? Qin Feiyang asked. No. Ling Yunfei shook his head as a trace of arrogance crept up between his brows. That's right. Qin Feiyang smiled, but he was puzzled. He was very familiar with the arrogance shown by this person because it was very similar to him. This kind of arrogance was innate. But why did this person hide it? Hearing such a straightforward answer, Ling Yunfei was also a little surprised. He shook his head and said, You're really strange. Aren't you the same? Qin Feiyang smiled. Me? Ling Yunfei laughed at himself, sorted out his mood, and explained, the token in your hand is a life-saving talisman. If you encounter any irreversible danger, just crush it. Soon, a guard will come to save you. I see. Qin Feiyang muttered, played with it curiously for a while, and asked, if the token is broken, does it mean that the competition is over? Yes, losing the token is equivalent to losing the qualification to continue the competition. Ling Yunfei nodded. If the token is snatched by someone else, how will it be judged? Qin Feiyang said. It doesn't matter, as long as you go and snatch another one. But if the other party has already crushed the token and given up the competition, and you still kill him, the guard will kill you on the spot. Ling Yunfei said meaningfully. Then don't give them the chance to crush the token. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. That makes sense. Ling Yunfei smiled. This person was more domineering than he imagined. It seemed that cooperating with him was the right choice. Half an hour later. The contestants had already entered the mountain range. Qin Feiyang also came to the bottom of the mountain range, looking at the endless mountains and rivers. The sleeping blood in his body was gradually awakening. Sure enough, fighting is what I want the most. Only by fighting continuously can I continue to become stronger. A moment ago. He was still like a docile sheep. But the next moment, he seemed to have become an awakened lion, exuding a shocking aura. Let's go. With a wave of his hand, he rushed into the forest with extreme speed. Ling Yunfei's face turned cold and quickly followed. You can actually catch up with me? Qin Feiyang was surprised. His current speed was not reserved at all. Could it be that Ling Yunfei was also a 4-star martial master? Interesting. The corner of his mouth lifted slightly. He stepped out with Luo Yen steps, and his speed increased by 4 times in an instant. So fast. Ling Yunfei's pupils contracted behind him. He tried his best to catch up, but instead of closing the distance, he got farther and farther away. A river flowed in the mountain forest. Qin Feiyang stood on the shore, looking at the rushing river, his eyes shining. Ling Yunfei was indeed a 4-star martial master. Looking at his age, he was at most 15 or 16 years old. His talent was stronger than Lin Bailey's, but why was he labeled as trash by the other people in the Ling family? After a long while, Ling Yunfei caught up with him, panting, and said helplessly, "Can you slow down? I can't catch up with you at this speed." Qin Feiyang turned around and was about to speak. Dong! Splash! But at this moment, the river exploded with a loud sound. An anaconda rushed out of the water. It was as thick as a wash basin and set off huge waves several meters high. Its venomous fangs were eerie, and it bit towards Qin Feiyang. The pungent smell was nauseating. "Be careful." Ling Yunfei's face changed. He pushed Qin Feiyang away, and then with a bang, punched the anaconda's chin. However, the result was that Ling Yunfei spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. But the anaconda only shook its body a few times, and then suddenly jumped out of the water and went straight towards Ling Yunfei. Those long and narrow eyes were filled with a bone-piercing coldness. "Bastard, die!" After Ling Yunfei stabilized his body, he roared, dodged a few times, and rushed to the front of the anaconda. True Qi gushed out, and he raised his fist and punched the anaconda's 7 inches. Crack! The snake's scales at the 7 inches were shattered on the spot. The anaconda wailed and smashed into the river, splashing up huge waves several feet high. Phew! Ling Yunfei took a few deep breaths, walked to Qin Feiyang's side, and said solemnly, "A martial master level beast is difficult to deal with. Jiang Haotian, although this is only the periphery of the Black Bear Mountain, there are still many beasts and water beasts. You must be careful." However, Qin Feiyang did not seem to hear, and looked at the back of Ling Yunfei's hand without blinking. The entire back of the hand was bleeding profusely. Ling Yunfei thought that Qin Feiyang was worried, and said with a smile, "This is just a small injury, it doesn't matter." Qin Feiyang said, "In that situation, you should have used martial arts. If you used martial arts, you wouldn't have been injured." Martial arts. Ling Yunfei's body stiffened, and he shook his head, "I don't have any martial arts." "How is that possible?" Qin Feiyang frowned. As a disciple of the Ling family, he actually didn't have any martial arts. Wasn't this a joke? "I really don't have any." Ling Yunfei shook his head. He leaped and jumped to the other side of the river. Obviously, he did not want to dwell on this issue. Dong! But at this time, 5 anacondas rushed out of the water. Each one was as thick as a wash basin, covered in scales, and shining with a dim light. Damn it! Ling Yunfei turned pale with fright. Being in the air, there was no way to dodge. He was about to become food in the stomachs of the 5 anacondas. Qin Feiyang moved at this time. He stomped his foot, and with a bang, a huge pit appeared on the ground. With the help of the force, he jumped up and landed on top of the anacondas. Then, he turned in the air, head down, feet up, stretched out his arm, true energy gushed out, and his index finger pointed at the anaconda's glabella. Hiss! The next moment, a finger-sized bloody hole appeared in the glabella of the 5 anacondas. Blood gushed out like a fountain. With a painful hiss, they fell into the river and died on the spot. Fresh blood dyed the river red in an instant. At the same time, Qin Feiyang grabbed the panic-stricken Ling Yunfei and landed on the other side of the river. That was close. Ling Yunfei patted his chest, looked at Qin Feiyang gratefully, and then turned to look at the river. At this moment, he could not help but take a deep breath. These anacondas were ferocious beasts comparable to a 4-star martial master. They were actually killed in an instant. Was this a dream? He hurriedly looked at Qin Feiyang's index finger, and found that the index finger seemed to be condensed by ice, emitting a bright light. This is ice crystal finger. It is considered a good martial arts technique. Qin Feiyang smiled, and withdrew his true energy. The ice crystal on his index finger also quickly dissipated. Is this the power of a martial arts technique? Ling Yunfei's eyes shone. That was desire. Qin Feiyang saw it, but did not say anything. He smiled and said, "Let's go." Ling Yunfei hurriedly said, "Wait, we don't need the corpses of these anacondas, but we have to collect the snake scales on their 7 inches. Collect the guts for what?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "You don't know." "That's right, I haven't told you. The big hunting competition is about who can kill the most ferocious beasts. Ordinary ferocious beasts are relatively large, and the Qinkuan bag can only hold a few. So in the past, as long as it is not a particularly rare ferocious beast, everyone will only take the most important parts to prove that they have killed it. The most important parts of these anacondas are the snake scales on their 7 inches. After Ling Yunfei finished his explanation, he prepared to go down the river to collect the snake scales. You just entered the Black Bear Mountain and already killed a few anacondas. Your luck is not bad. However, at this moment, accompanied by a mocking voice, more than 10 young men and women walked out from the forest behind them, with a cold smile on their faces. Qin Feiyang's eyes turned cold. Chapter 54. More than 10 people walked over and blocked Qin Feiyang and Jiang Haotian's path. "Jiang Chuan, what are you doing?" Ling Yunfei looked at the young man in black and frowned. "Isn't it obvious? How dare you ask? You are indeed the trash of the Ling family." Jiang Chuan sneered. The rest of the people also laughed. Ling Yunfei's gaze turned cold as he said in a low voice, "Jiang Haotian, Jiang Chuan is not only a 3-star martial master, he has also mastered 2 superior martial techniques and has the strength of 6 elephants. The others are also martial masters with martial techniques. A wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against him. Let's retreat first." "Retreat?" Qin Feiyang frowned and turned to look at the anacondas in the river. Although the river was turbulent, the anacondas were too large and had not been washed away yet. This was his prey. How could he let others snatch it away? Suddenly, his gaze focused and locked onto a certain part of the water. There was a faint whirlpool there. "Strange, I didn't see it just now," Qin Feiyang muttered in his heart. He carefully scanned the surface of the lake and found several whirlpools around the anacondas. "I understand now. The anaconda's blood must have attracted other aquatic beasts." His eyes flashed as he turned to look at Jiang Chuan and the rest. Seeing that Jiang Chuan and the rest did not notice the abnormality in the water, he revealed a look of regret and sighed. "I really don't want to give it to you, but I have no choice." "Who told you to outnumber me?" Jiang Chuan laughed. The rest laughed as well. "At least you know what's good for you. But let me give you a word of advice. Don't play any tricks. Otherwise, you will die a horrible death." Jiang Chuan's eyes flashed with killing intent. He took 2 steps back and shouted, "Get to the back right now." Qin Feiyang shrugged and looked at Ling Yunfei with a smile. "Let's go." Ling Yunfei nodded. Then, the 2 of them walked past Jiang Chuan. "Coward." Jiang Chuan sneered in disdain and said to the youths beside him, "You guys, quickly go down and cut off the scales of the anacondas." "Okay." The youths immediately pulled out the daggers at their waists and swam down the river towards the anacondas. Qin Feiyang stood 5 meters away and watched this scene coldly. However, Ling Yunfei clenched his fists tightly. His eyes were burning with anger. He lowered his voice and said, "Those bastards are really lucky. The show is just about to start." Qin Feiyang said in a meaningful tone. Ling Yunfei was stunned. He looked at Qin Feiyang in confusion. Qin Feiyang didn't say anything. He just smiled mysteriously. "Brother Jiang Chuan, I got the snake scale." "I got it too." The youths shouted excitedly as they swam towards the shore. He calm. But at this moment, more than a dozen ferocious monsters rushed out of the water with deafening roars, creating huge waves. They were 2 to 3 meters long. Their bodies were black and covered with hard scales. Their huge eyes were filled with ferocity. Damn it! Why are there black-scaled crocodiles? Come up quickly. Jiang Chuan and the others turned pale and hurriedly shouted at the few youths. Brother Jiang Chuan, save me. The youths were scared out of their wits. They screamed for help and fled at the same time. They used all their strength. Quick, let's attack together. Jiang Chuan shouted. However, the rest of the youths did not rescue them. Instead, they retreated in panic. What are you doing? Jiang Chuan was furious. Ah! At this moment, a few screams of pain rang out. Jiang Chuan looked back and his face turned pale. The youths in the water had been dismembered by the black-scaled crocodiles. The scene was extremely bloody. Run! Those who were retreating were scared out of their wits. They hurriedly turned around and fled into the forest without looking back. Seeing this scene, Ling Yunfei was overjoyed. He turned to look at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Is this the good show you were talking about? Now, it's the real show." Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. Killing intent surged in his eyes. Swoosh! He used the shifting smoke steps and landed in front of a person in an instant. He punched with all his strength. No one expected Qin Feiyang to suddenly attack at this moment. They were caught off guard. That person screamed and fell into the river like a meteorite. Several black-scaled crocodiles pounced on him and died on the spot. Jiang Haotian, you're courting death. The others were shocked. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. True Qi gushed out and rushed towards Qin Feiyang. Wind Thunder Palm. Qin Feiyang glanced at them. True Qi surged in his palm and he struck out. Woo woo, with a palm strike, a gust of wind blew and sand and stones flew. The dozen or so people who were rushing towards him were blown away like fallen leaves in the wind. Accompanied by a series of thumping sounds, they fell into the river one after another. For the black-scaled crocodiles, this was a delicious meal. Their eyes were ferocious as they pounced forward crazily. Screams immediately rolled out in this place. Jiang Haotian, I'm going to kill you. Now, I'll let you experience the power of the reckless ox fist. Seeing this, Jiang Chuan was infuriated. He ran in front of Qin Feiyang in a few steps and threw a punch. This punch was extremely fierce. The wind from the punch was like the roar of a bull. The momentum was quite shocking. Reckless ox fist. Qin Feiyang was surprised. Then, he smiled in relief. The Jiang family, the Mu family, and the Ling family all bought the reckless ox fist. As a child of the Jiang family, it was not strange that Jiang Chuan knew how to use the reckless ox fist. However, wasn't it a bit too naive to use his martial arts to kill him? Qin Feiyang smiled disdainfully. He raised his arm like lightning and his index finger turned into ice crystals. He blocked Jiang Chuan's fist with one finger. How is this possible? Jiang Chuan's eyes widened. Didn't Patriarch Jiang tell you that I was the one who sold the reckless ox fist to him? Qin Feiyang's index finger trembled. The power in his body poured out without reservation. It had the strength of 8 elephants. Crack! Jiang Chuan's fist instantly split open and flesh flew everywhere. His entire body was sent flying and fell into the river with a thud. The 2 black-scaled crocodiles immediately pounced. Get lost! Jiang Chuan let out a furious roar and smashed his other hand forward. Ao! The 2 black-scaled crocodiles howled and were sent flying on the spot. However, this action angered the entire group of crocodiles. They swarmed forward, and their bloody fangs were terrifying. Jiang Chuan's face was pale. Beside him floated the corpse of an anaconda. He had an idea. He grabbed the scales on the anaconda's body and jumped up with all his might. He was about to reach the shore. Get lost. Qin Feiyang came to the shore at this time. His face was cold as he kicked mercilessly. Jiang Haotian, don't. Jiang Chuan shouted anxiously with a pleading tone. But Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear and kicked his lower abdomen. Ao. With a squeal that sounded like a pig being slaughtered, Jiang Chuan once again fell into the water. Moreover, he fell right beside the mouths of the black-scaled crocodiles. The outcome was obvious. He was mercilessly torn to pieces by the black-scaled crocodiles. Jiang Haotian, we were wrong, we shouldn't have snatched your spoils of war. Please be merciful and save us. There were still 3 people who didn't die. They only lost an arm and struggled in the water, asking Qin Feiyang for help. But in the next moment, they were dragged into the water by the black-scaled crocodiles and never surfaced again. All of this happened slowly, but the whole process took less than 10 breaths. Jiang Chuan and his group were completely wiped out. Blood dyed the river red for dozens of meters. The smell of blood was nauseating. Ling Yunfei, who was behind, was dumbfounded. He didn't expect that Jiang Chuan and the others, who he was afraid of, would be so vulnerable in front of this person. This was the power of martial arts. At this moment, he had an unprecedented desire. What surprised him the most was Qin Feiyang's observation skills. From the previous situation, Qin Feiyang had obviously noticed that there were other beasts lurking in the river. But he and Jiang Chuan's group didn't notice it at all. This meant that compared to the person in front of him, he was still far behind. Taking a deep breath, Ling Yunfei strode over and gave Qin Feiyang a thumbs up. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. Just now, I thought you were really going to give up. But your method is a little. At this point, Ling Yunfei frowned and glanced at the bloody river. He felt a little uncomfortable. Qin Feiyang said, you want to say that I'm cruel? Ling Yunfei nodded. I've tolerated the people of the Jiang family for a long time. They were courting death. What's more, this world is very cruel. If you don't kill them today, you'll probably die in their hands tomorrow. Living in such an environment, the only thing you have to do is to be more ruthless than others. Qin Feiyang sneered. Hearing this, Ling Yunfei was speechless for a moment. Qin Feiyang turned to look at him and said, you're the best example. You're obviously talented, but you're not valued. You don't even have martial arts skills. Have you ever thought about why? Ling Yunfei clenched his fingers and said in a deep voice, you don't understand my business. Qin Feiyang said, I really don't know your difficulties. But if it were me, I wouldn't be silent. I would work hard to defeat all the problems and enemies in front of me. Ling Yunfei was furious and roared, you have a family, a background, and someone to support you. But I'm different. I'm just an insignificant and pitiful person. No one will sympathize with me. Do you understand? Sympathize? Qin Feiyang shook his head in disappointment. He turned to look at the blood-red river and said lightly, I'll give you a word of advice. Those who need sympathy are all good-for-nothings. Those who really have backbone are those who work hard to protect their dignity. Ling Yunfei's body trembled. Splash! The group of black-scaled crocodiles emerged from the water and stared at Qin Feiyang, but they didn't dare to approach. There was obvious fear in their eyes. Soon. They then submerged into the water and disappeared. Qin Feiyang didn't intend to hunt them. Because hiding in the water was very troublesome. It was better to find other prey. Let's go. The real hunt begins now. Qin Feiyang turned and walked into the forest. Chapter 55. Qin Feiyang stopped, pondered for a moment, and asked without turning his head, "Give me a reason, why should I give you a martial skill?" "I need a martial skill, is this a reason?" Ling Yunfei looked at him nervously. "Do I have to give it to you because you need it? You have to understand that I am not related to you, not even a friend. Don't say that I am unreasonable, because that is the truth. Back then, for the cleansing marrow pill, I struggled for 5 years, but who gave me one? However, when you think clearly about why you want a martial skill so much, then come to me, maybe I will consider it." Qin Feiyang said lightly, then took a step and rushed into the forest. Ling Yunfei's eyes were filled with disappointment. He sighed deeply and quickly caught up, asking, "Why are you looking for the cleansing marrow pill?" "I don't want to mention the past again." As Qin Feiyang spoke, he listened to his surroundings and observed his surroundings. Ling Yunfei was stunned. He never thought that he would get such an answer. "Be careful." Suddenly, Qin Feiyang shouted and pushed Ling Yunfei away with a palm. Without hesitation, he pulled out Chang Shui and swung it at the grass beside him. Suddenly, blood appeared. Bang bang. A crane-crowned snake was split into 2 and fell on the grass. Seeing this, Ling Yunfei broke out in cold sweat. If he was bitten, he would lose a layer of skin even if he didn't die. Qin Feiyang quickly cut off the flesh crown, put it into a free Qiankuan bag, put away Chang Shui and continued to move forward. Ling Yunfei hurriedly followed, not daring to be distracted. Along the way, the two encountered many fierce beasts, but they were all dealt with by Qin Feiyang. As for the spoils of war, the two of them split. Unknowingly, the sky darkened. Ling Yunfei looked at the night sky and frowned. "Jiang Haotian, the Black Bear Mountain is very dangerous at night. Why don't we find a place to rest for the night and continue tomorrow morning?" The deep mountains at night always gave people an inexplicable sense of danger. But for Qin Feiyang, night was the best time to hunt. However, he didn't object to Ling Yunfei's suggestion. He found a secluded cave and rested for a while before entering the depths of the mountain alone. Roar! Soon, inside the pitch-black mountain, a loud howl of a wolf resonated. It carried with it a terrifying amount of energy that alerted all the beasts within hundreds of miles. "White-eyed wolf, aren't you a little too fast?" On a small mountain, Qin Feiyang lowered his head to look at Wolf King, his eyes filled with disbelief. He avoided Ling Yunfei and left the cave in order to let Wolf King out for some fresh air. But he didn't expect that Wolf King's strength had advanced further. If he didn't take into account martial arts, he was no longer a match for Wolf King. Wolf King rolled his eyes and said proudly, "Brother Wolf is talented. What's there to be surprised about?" "Ah." Qin Feiyang was suddenly speechless. Wolf King suddenly sniffed hard. A trace of surprise crawled up in his bell-sized pupils. He said, "Little Qin Zi, Brother Wolf smells blood." "Blood?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "Follow me." Wolf King jumped up and ran down the mountain. Qin Feiyang immediately followed. However, after running for hundreds of breaths, Wolf King didn't stop, nor did he see anyone fighting. Qin Feiyang said, "White-eyed wolf, is there something wrong with your dog nose?" "That's your dog nose. If you speak rudely again, Brother Wolf will make your butt bleed." Wolf King bared his teeth and showed a fierce expression. "Well, you're awesome. Do you think I'm afraid of you?" Qin Feiyang pursed his lips. Roar! But at this moment, the roar of a beast came from far away. "Did you hear that? That beast roar is full of energy. It's obviously not a simple character." Wolf King said proudly. "You can smell blood from so far away. Your dog nose is really good." Qin Feiyang laughed mischievously. "Bastard!" Wolf King turned hostile and directly bit Qin Feiyang's butt. Qin Feiyang was so scared that he quickly ran away. Little Qin Z, don't run. Brother Wolf won't bite you. It's just a joke. Don't be nervous. The Wolf King chased after him while laughing mischievously. I'd rather believe that a sow can climb a tree than believe your nonsense. Qin Feiyang was disdainful. Everyone, hold on. We'll get rid of it soon. The rest of you, surround it. Don't let it take the opportunity to escape. After a while, noisy shouts came into Qin Feiyang's ears. At the same time, there were also sounds of fighting and roars of beasts. Is it them? Qin Feiyang frowned and gradually slowed down. He turned to look at Wolf King, who was baring his teeth, and said helplessly, "Can we stop fighting first?" "Yes, of course. Let's get down to business." Wolf King grinned. "You're sensible." Qin Feiyang smiled. He turned around, bent down, and carefully sneaked over. However, just as he turned back, Wolf King's eyes showed a trace of a sinister smile. He opened his wide mouth and bit Qin Feiyang's butt. Ow! Qin Feiyang couldn't help but howl on the spot. He was in so much pain that his facial features were distorted. "Bastard, you're playing dirty!" Qin Feiyang roared. "Will you still say that Brother Wolf has a dog's nose in the future?" Wolf King refused to let go. Okay, I swear, I won't say it again," Qin Feiyang compromised. He was also full of helplessness when encountering such a shameless and bastard wolf. "That's more like it." Wolf King finally let go and laughed. "If you say it again in the future, Brother Wolf won't bite your butt. I'll bite your little brother." At the end of his words, he suddenly bared his teeth. Qin Feiyang was so scared that he didn't even care about the wound on his butt. He hurriedly covered his crotch and retreated. "Don't be afraid, Brother Wolf is just joking. I won't really bite your little brother." Wolf King laughed proudly. "I'm telling you, even a rabbit will bite when it's anxious. Don't make me flip out." Qin Feiyang glared at him. "Who's there? Come out." Two cold shouts suddenly sounded. One man and one wolf hurriedly lay down in the grass. Qin Feiyang rubbed his butt, sweating from the pain. "This damn white-eyed wolf, he actually bit me." He was furious. Wolf King quietly climbed to his side and grinned. "Are you thinking about how to get back at Brother Wolf?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang glared fiercely. "Don't wait. Brother Wolf's butt is right here for you to bite." Wolf King said and really raised his butt. Qin Feiyang's mind was in a mess. How did he meet such a person? He was completely convinced. "I clearly heard someone crying and howling just now. Why can't we find him now? Let's go ahead and look. If it's Jiang Haotian, we'll kill him directly." Two muscular young men cautiously walked towards the man and the wolf. "One each. Let's see who gets rid of him first." Qin Feiyang whispered, his eyes flashing coldly. Originally, he didn't want to kill the innocent, but now it seemed that the other party wasn't innocent. "If you want to kill him, you have to pay the price." Wolf King's eyes also flashed fiercely. 5 meters. 3 meters. 1 meter. There was no hint in advance, but one man and one wolf were very tacit and rushed out at the same time. They were like two death gods in the night. Qin Feiyang stretched out his hands, grabbed the neck of the man on the right, and twisted it. At the same time, Wolf King also bit the throat of the man on the left. Blood gushed out. He didn't even have time to scream before he died. "Let's go." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and lurked forward. The sounds of fighting and beast roars were getting more and more deafening. The Wolf King said, "Little Qin, there's a hint of anxiousness and weakness in that beast's roar. I reckon that ferocious beast is already at the brink of death." Qin Feiyang asked, "Can you distinguish the strength of that beast? Do you think Brother Wolf is a god?" Wolf King rolled his eyes at him. After a dozen breaths, a man and a wolf crouched behind a lush bush and looked ahead. 50 meters ahead, dozens of young men and women were displaying their strengths and fighting fiercely with a huge black bear. The trees, rocks, and ground in that place had all been destroyed and destroyed. Dozens of young men and women surrounded the edge of the battlefield. Each of them held a weapon and looked excitedly at the beast. Some of them were holding bows and arrows in their hands, ready to shoot. Look at their clothes. They are all from the 3 big families. Whether it's strength or the weapons in their hands, they are all extraordinary. That black bear can fight with them until now. Its strength is definitely not ordinary. Qin Feiyang whispered. The black bear was 3 to 4 meters tall. Although its body was covered in knife and sword wounds, its fist-sized pupils were filled with ferocity. Its millstone-sized bear paws were even more ferocious. When it slammed down, the ground would crack. The dozens of people fighting with it were also full of scars. Under a big tree outside the battlefield, more than a dozen people were lying on the ground. They were obviously seriously injured by the black bear. Unfortunately, he didn't see Mu Fei and Jiang Wei. It's already an arrow at the end of its flight. Put in more effort. Those with bows and arrows, don't be idle. If you have the chance, shoot it to death. That's right. It's a fierce beast comparable to a 9-star martial master. As long as we kill it, not only will we have bear meat and paws to eat, but we can also sell its fur for a good price. 2 black-clothed young men shouted. A 9-star martial master fierce beast. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. If he could kill this fierce beast, not to mention getting first place, the top 10 would be easy. Whoosh! More than a dozen arrows cut through the night sky and entered the black bear's body. Roar! The black bear roared in pain and swept its 2 paws around. The 2 young men couldn't dodge in time and were sent flying. They hit a tree trunk not far away and spat out blood. Continue shooting. Shoot its legs. The 2 of them got up and roared in exasperation. Whoosh! Arrows were shot out one after another. Every arrow pierced the black bear's thigh, and blood flowed all over the ground. Little Qin Zi, if we don't think of a way, when the black bear dies here, we won't be able to fight with so many people even if we have 3 heads and 6 arms. Wolf King said anxiously. Don't worry, it won't die so soon. Qin Feiyang said in a low voice. Then, he swept his gaze over the audience. Suddenly, his eyes flashed. He laughed mischievously and said, I have an idea. Chapter 56. Qin Feiyang whispered a few words into Wolf King's ear. Will it work? After hearing this, Wolf King looked at him doubtfully. It definitely won't be a problem. Qin Feiyang patted his chest and promised. Okay, for the delicious bear paws, Brother Wolf will fight. Wolf King nodded, got up and walked out of the bushes, and suddenly howled. Wolf! The people at the scene suddenly changed color. Wolves were ferocious by nature. And the most important thing was that wolves were social creatures. So after hearing the wolf howl, everyone instinctively looked at Wolf King, including the dozens of people who were fighting with the black bear. Immediately, they saw a pair of faint green eyes coldly staring at them, causing their scalps to tingle. Roar! At this moment, the black bear seized the opportunity and its ferocious nature was unleashed. Its 2 millstone-sized bear paws swept out, and the dozens of young men and women around it were directly sent flying. All of them spat out blood and their faces were pale. There were even a few people who fainted on the spot. Following closely, the black bear took large strides and ran wildly into the forest. Don't let it escape. Damn it, why did a wolf suddenly appear? Those with bows, what are you waiting for? Quickly shoot it. Those who were sent flying did not even care about their injuries and quickly surrounded the black bear again. Those with bows and arrows were divided into two groups. One group of people put arrows on their bows and shot at the black bear, while the other group of people turned their arrows and madly shot at Wolf King. "The wind is tight, retreat." Wolf King's expression changed and hurriedly turned around to flee. Whoosh! More than a dozen arrows turned into a rain of arrows, piercing through the air. The arrowheads flickered with a terrifying cold light in the dark night. Wolf King was like a monkey, dodging left and right, and with great difficulty avoided the rain of arrows. But there were still a few arrow wounds on his body. Blood flowed and dyed his white fur red. However, this was not the end. An arrow whizzed through the air like a cold poisonous snake, flying between its legs. "Ah, Brother Wolf's balls, eh? I'm fine. Luckily, Brother Wolf is lucky and his balls aren't broken." Wolf King was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. Without looking back, he fled into the distance. In the meantime, Qin Feiyang was also within the range of the rain of arrows, but the arrows that were shot at him were easily cut down by Chang Shui, causing him no damage at all. Under a large tree on the left, a heavily injured woman in red leaned against the tree trunk. She looked in the direction where Wolf King had disappeared, her eyes emitting a shocking cold light. Suddenly, she turned to look at the archers beside her and shouted, "You guys go after it. No matter what, you have to kill that beast." "All right." The archers nodded, raised their iron bows and chased after Wolf King. As long as it wasn't a pack of wolves, it would be easy to deal with. But just as they were passing by the shrubs, Qin Feiyang leaped out like a ghost. The cold light of the Chang Shui in his hand exploded as he sliced off their necks. "Someone, ambush." One of them covered his neck, stared at Qin Feiyang in disbelief, and roared with all his strength. But the sound was almost inaudible. It was completely covered by the sounds of fierce fighting and the roar of the black bear. Bang! The next moment, he fell to the ground and died. Seeing that there was only one wolf, the people of the three families didn't take it to heart. Their attention was focused on the black bear again, and it was night now. With the cover of the shrubs, no one discovered that they were already dead. Qin Feiyang glanced at the battlefield, and a sneer crept up on his face. He swiftly took the quivers of several people, and carried them on his back. Then, he grabbed an iron bow, and quickly retreated to join the Wolf King. Wolf King was licking his wounds. When he saw Qin Feiyang coming, he immediately showed a fierce expression and said, "Little Qin Zi, Brother Wolf's balls almost fell off. If you don't get Brother Wolf's paw, Brother Wolf will not let you off. Do you have balls?" Qin Feiyang glanced at him curiously. "Your little butt is asking for a bite again, isn't it?" The Wolf King chuckled and stared at him maliciously. Qin Feiyang's veins were bulging. He snorted and said, "You win. Next is the second step of the plan. You will distract their attention, and I will hide in the dark and shoot arrows to make them panic. In this way, the black bear will have a chance to escape." The first step of his plan was to get an iron bow and enough arrows. "Damn, you want Brother Wolf to be the bait again. I won't do it." Wolf King said angrily. "Do you still want to eat bear paw?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Yes." Wolf King nodded. "Hurry up if you want." Qin Feiyang said impatiently. "No." Wolf King shook his head. "Then do you want to eat bear paw or not?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "Yes." Wolf King nodded and became energetic again. "Then let's do it quickly." Qin Feiyang said angrily. "No." Wolf King shook his head. Qin Feiyang suddenly became angry and shouted, "You want to eat bear paw, but you don't want to be the bait. What do you want? If you have the ability, why don't you shoot the arrows? Brother Wolf has no hands, how can he shoot the arrows?" You're clearly making things difficult for him. Besides, what if this time, Brother Wolf's balls really burst? Will you pay for it? Can you afford it? Wolf King stared at him righteously. Okay, I completely lose to you. I'll go alone, okay? Qin Feiyang really had an impulse to curse. He felt powerless and turned to run toward the battlefield. Little Qin Zi must be despising Brother Wolf in his heart now. Damn it, I'll fight. Balls, you must take care of yourself. Wolf King made up his mind and caught up with Qin Feiyang, saying, remember, you must be fast, accurate, and ruthless. Don't worry about me. Qin Feiyang smiled. Okay, let's go. Wolf King ran to the right side of the battlefield. Qin Feiyang ran to the left side of the battlefield and hid behind a big tree. The black bear's situation was critical. Its whole body was dripping with blood, and its eyes were dim. It even seemed to be extremely difficult for it to wave its two paws. Awu, Wolf King stood on a small hillside opposite and howled into the sky. What's going on? Is there more than one wolf? The people of the three major clans changed color again. Those who were holding bows and arrows quickly put arrows on their bows and shot at Wolf King. Awu! The Wolf King turned around and fled. Its howls caused the people present to involuntarily feel their hair stand on end. It was also at this moment. Qin Feiyang walked out from behind the big tree, pulled out 3 arrows, aimed at the 3 young men and women who were fighting with the black bear, and pulled hard. Whoosh! Accompanied by the sound of 3 arrows piercing through the air, the 3 arrows sank into the 3 people's chests. Suddenly, blood splattered in the air. Who the hell is shooting arrows randomly? Can't you be more accurate? The sudden change made the rest of the people turn pale with fright, and they roared again and again. Whoosh! Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and took out 3 more arrows. The 3 arrows were released simultaneously, and another 3 young men and women lost their lives on the spot. Subsequently, he turned around and disappeared into the forest, changing his location. Who the hell is it? Get out here. Those who were fighting with the black bear, while burning with anger, could not help but be frightened. Those who were holding bows, however, showed a look of surprise and innocence. They were indeed aiming at the black bear before shooting. How could they shoot their companions? The woman in red swept her eyes across the scene, and her expression suddenly changed. She shouted, "No, it's not our people. Someone is hiding in the dark and shooting arrows." Awu, the wolf howled again. Whoosh! At the same time, a cold arrow, like lightning, cut through the sky and shot into the woman in red's chest. Ah! With a scream, the woman in red fell to the ground and died. Who is it? Come out and fight if you have the guts. Hiding and sneak attacking, what kind of man are you? The people of the 3 big families began to panic. On one side, there was a ferocious wolf, and on the other side, there was a cold-blooded killer. If this continued, who knew how many people would die tragically under the arrows? But the black bear, its spirit was greatly lifted. For a time, its courage was unstoppable, and it killed the people of the 3 big families, making them retreat step by step. Quickly stop it! A young man roared. But before his voice fell, his throat was pierced by an arrow, and he died on the spot. Who the hell is it? The people of the 3 big families were completely in a mess. The black bear destroyed a gap, dragged its exhausted body, and fled into the forest without looking back. Chase! More than a dozen powerful young men immediately chased after it. Whoosh! 3 arrows whistled through the air. More than a dozen people hurriedly dodged. With a puff, the 3 arrows pierced into the trunk of a nearby tree. That was close. More than a dozen people were shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. They looked in the direction of the arrows and saw a black shadow turn around and disappear into the forest. How dare you ruin our plan? Go after it. If it's alive, I want to see it. If it's dead, I want to see its corpse. 2 people roared. Immediately, more than a dozen people rushed into the forest with torches, full of murderous intent. The more than a dozen powerful young men continued to chase after the black bear. Those who were seriously injured were recuperating on the spot. Little Qin Zi's whereabouts have been exposed. The situation is not good. Wolf King stood on a big rock, looking at the fire in the forest, and his eyes flashed with a terrifying light. If you dare to hurt a hair on little Qin Zi's head, Brother Wolf will annihilate you all tonight. He jumped down and ran wildly toward the forest. He can't have gone far, quickly find him. Bastard! He actually dared to plot against us. Once we catch him, we'll surely make him experience a fate worse than death. After the dozens of people entered the forest, they spread out like a fishing net and began a carpet search. Huff! Qin Feiyang was hiding on a lush tree. He looked at the crowd that was getting closer and closer. He was gasping for breath. His forehead was full of sweat, and his eyes were gloomy. This group of people were all martial masters. If it was one-on-one, he would not be afraid at all. But if he went down and confronted them head-on, it was guaranteed that he would die. He's over there, shoot! A young man in black came under the tree with a torch and carefully scanned the surroundings. Suddenly, he felt something fall on the back of his neck. He reached out and wiped it, a trace of surprise flashing through his eyes. How could it be water? He put it to the tip of his nose and sniffed. His eyes flashed. It was not water, it was sweat. Suddenly, the young man in black retreated quickly and shouted, "He's hiding up there, shoot!" Whoosh! Chapter 57. Qin Feiyang's eyes darkened, and he decisively entered the castle. The rain of arrows was sharp and threatening. All the branches were broken. For a moment, in this place, leaves were flying like rain. Dozens of people from the 3 families all raised their heads and stared at the treetops. However, when the leaves fell and everything was in sight, there was not even a mosquito, let alone a person. Didn't you say he was up there? Where is he? Everyone looked at the young man in black. Sorry, I made a mistake. Let's keep looking. The young man in black smiled embarrassedly. But he was very confused. There was obviously sweat dripping, but why was there no one? Dozens of people walked under the tree one after another and gradually went away. However, they didn't realize that a pair of green eyes had been following them from the beginning. Strange. Where is little Qin Zi hiding? By the way, the castle. It walked under the tree and whispered, "Little Qin Zi, they are gone. You can come out now." Before its voice died away, Qin Feiyang appeared out of thin air. He looked up at the fire in the forest and said with fear, "Fortunately, I ran fast, or I would have been shot into a sieve. Go, kill them all." The Wolf King said in a low voice, its ferocious aura threatening. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, "No, now we don't have time to waste with them. Go find the black bear, or the 3 families will beat us to it." Wolf King suddenly said, "Yes, Brother Wolf almost forgot about the bear paw. Let's go." A man and a wolf turned and chased after the black bear. Wolf King's nose was very sharp, so Qin Feiyang was not worried about losing him at all. They chased all the way. The trees, the stone mountain, and the ground were all seriously damaged. Obviously, it was caused by the fight between the black bear and the dozen people. Roar! Bang! Bang! After dozens of breaths, the roar of the black bear and the sound of fighting were close at hand. A man and a wolf lurked over, lying on a boulder, and looked out. The black bear was trapped once again. Its blood dyed the ground red, and it was extremely weak. As for the dozen or so young men and women, their faces were as pale as paper, and they were basically exhausted. 13 people in total. I still have 10 arrows here, White-Eyed Wolf, hide in front. When I'm done shooting, we'll surround them from the front and back and keep them all here. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent. All right. Wolf King responded and took a big detour. He hid in a deep ravine and waited for an opportunity to make his move. Qin Feiyang stepped down from the boulder and stood beside it. He took out 3 arrows and knocked them on the bowstring. He aimed at 3 of them and pulled the bowstring. Survival of the fittest. This world is cruel. Don't blame me. He muttered to himself. He loosened his grip. The 3 arrows were like bolts of lightning, arriving in the blink of an eye and entering the bodies of the 3 people. Ah! The 3 of them immediately screamed. Damn it! Why are there still people shooting arrows? Who the hell is it? Come out! The remaining 10 people were burning with anger. They were entangled with the black bear while looking around. Qin Feiyang hid behind the boulder. His eyes flashed coldly. He took out 3 more arrows and knocked them on the bowstring. Phew! Taking a deep breath, he quickly turned around, pulled the bowstring, and released the arrows in one breath. Ah! But only 2 screams were heard. Only 2 people were shot. The other person narrowly avoided it. I was too hasty. I didn't aim properly. I wasted an arrow. Qin Feiyang hid behind the boulder and was a little annoyed. However, under such circumstances, it was inevitable that something like this would happen. Ah! But at this moment, 2 more screams were heard. Qin Feiyang stared blankly and looked over. It turned out that the black bear took advantage of the 8 people's panic to counterattack and kill 2 of them. In this way, there were only 6 people left. It's easy to dodge a spear in the open but difficult to guard against a hidden arrow. Let's retreat. What? It wasn't easy to seriously injure this beast. I'm not willing to retreat just like that. What can we do even if we're not willing? If this continues, we'll all die sooner or later. Where there's life, there's hope. Don't dawdle. Let's go. After dawn, we'll find that person and settle accounts slowly. The 3 young men turned around and began to flee. Seeing this, the other 3 didn't dare to stay any longer and also fled. The black bear didn't chase because it was powerless to chase. It directly collapsed on the ground and couldn't move. Escaped? Qin Feiyang frowned. This was a situation he didn't expect. Kill as many as you can. He made up his mind and decisively took out 3 arrows. He aimed at the 3 people behind him and released his grip. The arrows immediately broke through the air. However, the result. All 3 arrows missed their target. Bastard, don't let me find out who you are. One of them roared. Qin Feiyang took out the last arrow, but in the end, he put down the iron bow and said in a hoarse voice, "Let them leave." He was speaking to the Wolf King and had also changed his voice slightly. Although the 6 people were seriously injured, they could fight with the black bear for so long. It was enough to prove that even if they were not 9-star martial masters, they were at least 8-star martial masters. Therefore, he was not sure that he could keep all 6 of them. Instead of wasting this energy, it was better to get rid of the black bear first. Qin Feiyang looked at the black bear and took a step forward. However, he suddenly retracted his steps and hid behind the boulder. He suddenly thought that the 6 people were likely to hide in the dark and peep. In this way, his identity would be exposed. At that time, he would inevitably face endless revenge. Poochie. He lowered his head and pondered for a moment. Then he tore off his coat to cover his face and strode out. Wolf King also followed him out of the jungle. Not far away, there was a torch, so Qin Feiyang could clearly see the situation of the black bear. It was easy to kill it now. At the same time, the black bear could also clearly see Qin Feiyang and Wolf King. Although it did not even have the strength to get up, the fierce light in its eyes was enough to make anyone treat it seriously. Who is he? He's actually with the wolf. The 6 people did not leave. They hid not far away and peeped. But when they saw a man and a wolf, they were puzzled. With the wolf, one of the young men in white kept muttering this sentence. He seemed to have thought of something, but for a moment, he could not remember what it was. Suddenly, his eyes shone brightly as he said in a low voice, "I've got it. They're the only ones in this strange group." Who? The 5 people looked at him in surprise. Qin Feiyang. The young man in white said word by word. So it's him. The 5 people's bodies trembled. At the same time, Qin Feiyang and Wolf King looked at each other and approached the black bear. At the thought of being able to eat delicious bear paws soon, Wolf King's eyes couldn't help but shine and drool. Roar! But at this moment, a loud and clear roar, like a sudden clap of thunder, suddenly exploded in the forest not far away. Wolf King was so scared that he staggered on the spot. Dong! Following that, there was a sound of the earth shaking. The black bear's eyes immediately showed a trace of joy. It stood up tenaciously and let out a roar. However, 1 man and 1 wolf were shocked. Because this sound of shaking was the sound of footsteps. In other words, there was an unknown ferocious beast that was running towards them. Moreover, it was not difficult to judge that this beast was not only huge, but also very powerful. Not good, it's the Beast King of Black Bear Mountain, retreat. Suddenly, a terrified shout rang out. Qin Feiyang looked towards the direction of the sound. Suddenly, he saw 6 black shadows, fast as lightning in the forest, and soon disappeared. Sure enough, they are spying in the dark. Qin Feiyang muttered and couldn't help but feel a lingering fear. Fortunately, he thought of this in advance. Otherwise, not only would this fake identity be exposed, even his real identity would be exposed. After all, he was the only one who dared to associate with wolves in the entire Black Bear City. Beast King. But then, he realized the main point. The beast that came was actually the Beast King of Black Bear Mountain. And the way it looked at the black bear was definitely related to it. The sound of footsteps was getting closer and closer. Qin Feiyang could already clearly feel that the ground under his feet was shaking. If he didn't run now, when would he? White-eyed wolf, run! Qin Feiyang shouted in a low voice. Wolf King looked at the black bear unwillingly and followed Qin Feiyang, quickly retreating. In less than 5 breaths, a huge creature trampled over the trees and rocks and arrived in front of the black bear. This was also a black bear. But it was more than 10 meters tall, like a mountain, exuding a terrifying aura. It was the king of Black Bear Mountain, the Black Bear King. Qin Feiyang and the Wolf King turned around to take a look. They were almost scared out of their wits. They hurriedly turned around and fled, even using all of their strength. The injured black bear roared at the Black Bear King again and again, as if it was saying something. Roar! Suddenly, the Black Bear King roared, beat its chest and stomped its feet. It picked up the injured black bear and chased after the man and the wolf. Its speed was so fast that Qin Feiyang and Wolf King couldn't compare to it. In less than 5 breaths, the Black Bear King stood in front of the man and the wolf. Then, it turned around and looked down at Qin Feiyang and Wolf King. Its eyes that were as big as a basin were filled with a monstrous murderous light. Wolf King directly hid behind Qin Feiyang. Its bell-like eyes were filled with fear. This is a misunderstanding, you have to believe me." Qin Feiyang also broke out in cold sweat and kept retreating. Standing in front of the Black Bear King was like standing under a huge mountain. An indescribable sense of oppression enveloped them like a tide. A sense of insignificance involuntarily arose in their hearts. This time, they had really played big. It was obvious that the injured black bear was the son of the Black Bear King. Chapter 58. Facing this giant, Qin Feiyang and Wolf King were extremely nervous. Previous chapter. Next chapter, boom. Suddenly, the Black Bear King's eyes exploded with ferocity as it raised its big foot and stepped on the man and the wolf. Quickly enter the castle. Wolf King was so scared that he trembled and hurriedly roared. Roar! But at this time, the black bear cub roared, looking a little anxious. Qin Feiyang was about to bring Wolf King to the castle when the Black Bear King suddenly retracted its big foot, and even its ferocious aura was restrained. What's going on? One man and one wolf looked at each other, puzzled. Sorry, this king misunderstood you. A loud and clear voice rang out in their minds. Who's talking? Qin Feiyang was surprised. The Wolf King also scanned the surroundings in surprise. It's this king. The Black Bear King waved its bare paw at them. You can talk. One man and one wolf were shocked. In the past, this king killed a human and was lucky enough to get a beast spirit pill. The Black Bear King said. Qin Feiyang suddenly realized. I'm really sorry. This king thought that you were also accomplices in hurting my child. Just now, my child told me that you saved it and told me not to hurt you. Please don't blame me. The Black Bear King apologized. Save it? Qin Feiyang and Wolf King were stunned. They had indeed killed people from the three great families, but it was not to save the Black Bear Cub. Wasn't this Black Bear Cub too naive? Couldn't they see that they wanted to kill it as much as the people from the three great families? The next moment, Qin Feiyang reacted and nodded. That's right, we are saving your child. Yes, yes, yes. Wolf King nodded repeatedly and said righteously, we are all of the same kind. Your child is in trouble, how can Brother Wolf sit by and do nothing? Ah. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Didn't he want to eat bear paws before? The speed at which he changed his attitude was really faster than flipping through a book. The Black Bear King did not suspect anything and said gratefully, you saved my child. I am unable to repay this kindness. Tell me, what do you want? I'll try my best to satisfy you. Wolf King smiled and said, forget about it. It's just a small matter. Hypocrite. Qin Feiyang looked at it with disdain and felt a little ashamed. Because he and Wolf King wanted to kill the Black Bear Cub. But they didn't expect that the Black Bear King would give them a gift to repay them. Wasn't this the same as repaying evil with good? Who said that berserk beasts must be ferocious by nature? In Qin Feiyang's view, this Black Bear father and son pair were 1,000 times better than those hypocrites. Roar! The Black Bear Cub looked at the Wolf King and growled. Qin Feiyang looked at it in confusion and asked, what is it saying? Brother Wolf doesn't understand bear language either. Wolf King smiled awkwardly. The Black Bear King said, my child said that no matter what, he will repay you. A man and a wolf looked at each other. If this continued, they would really have to find a hole to hide in. Shame. After a moment of silence, Qin Feiyang gritted his teeth and looked at the Black Bear King. Senior, I won't be pretentious. To be honest, I entered the Black Bear Mountain to hunt. Hunt? The Black Bear King was stunned and asked, is it the annual hunting competition of Black Bear City? Senior knows. Qin Feiyang was surprised. This king has been here for decades, of course I know. In this way, you are not actually saving this king's child, but also hunting it. In the end, the Black Bear King's eyes once again flashed with a terrifying murderous light. Qin Feiyang's pupils contracted. Originally, He wanted the Black Bear King to help him hunt a few powerful berserk beasts. This way, he would be sure to win. But he never expected that the Black Bear King would know about the hunting competition. And his mind was beyond imagination. Just by hearing the word hunting, he had seen through his intentions. What should he do? It was obviously impossible to deny it now. Wolf King glanced at Qin Feiyang, his eyes flashing slightly, and hurriedly said, "Black Bear King, I promise you with my personality, no, with my wolf character, that little Qin Zi has no intention of hunting your child. In the eyes of humans, this king's child is the most valuable trophy. Do you think this king will believe your words?" The Black Bear King glanced at the man and the wolf, full of hostility. "We do not deny the value of your child. Those people in Black Bear City, it is precisely because of its value that they desperately want to hunt it. But little Qin Zi is different. Since he was a child, there has been a bear by his side. Although it is just a very ordinary bear, they grew up together and are as close as brothers. Therefore, he has always had a very special feeling for creatures like bears. Brother Wolf can tell you very responsibly that he can ruthlessly hunt any berserk beast, but he will never hunt a bear." The Wolf King made up a bunch of nonsense, but he spoke in an impassioned and touching manner, as if it was true. "Really?" The Black Bear King looked at him doubtfully. "Of course, it is precisely because of this that Brother Wolf became friends with him," Wolf King said solemnly. "What about the bear now?" the Black Bear King asked. "Alas!" Wolf King sighed deeply and said sadly, "In the winter of the year before last, it went deep into the mountains to look for food for little Qin Zi. As a result, it did not come back for a few days. When little Qin Zi found it, only a cold corpse was left." "How did it die?" the Black Bear King asked with a trace of sadness in his eyes. Apparently, he already believed it. "It was bitten to death by a crane-crowned snake." At that time, little Qin Zi had not yet started cultivating, but he ran to find that crane-crowned snake for revenge without hesitation. Although he succeeded in killing that crane-crowned snake in the end, he was bitten by it. It was also at that time that Brother Wolf bumped into him. Seeing that he was so affectionate and righteous, Brother Wolf saved his life. Slowly, we became friends. Wolf King said, his bell-sized eyes filled with tears. Qin Feiyang stared blankly at Wolf King. "This guy is too good at making things up, isn't he?" His sad tone, his sad eyes, if he had not known in advance that this guy was talking nonsense, even he would have believed it. At this moment, Wolf King turned his head to look at Qin Feiyang and said, "Little Qin Zi, I'm sorry to have reminded you of these sad memories." As he spoke, he gave him a subtle wink. Qin Feiyang understood. He blinked his eyes and forced out 2 drops of tears, revealing a sad face. He shook his head very cooperatively and said, "It's not your fault. It's my fault for not being able to protect it well." Wolf King said, "Don't blame yourself. Brother Wolf believes that if it's in heaven, it also hopes that you can continue to live happily." A man and a wolf, singing the same tune, made the Black Bear King's tears come out. He looked at Qin Feiyang and blamed himself. "Human, I'm sorry. I've wronged you again. I sincerely apologize to you. It's okay. You're also eager to protect your son. It's understandable." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Not only are you affectionate and righteous, but you're also open-minded. I admire you very much. How about this? I'll give you a few martial grandmaster level ferocious beasts' corpses. I guarantee that you'll be the champion." After the Black Bear King finished speaking, he opened his mouth and spat out a qiankuan bag that flew towards Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang grabbed the qiankuan bag and was a little stunned. He hurriedly said, "Senior, don't refuse. This is a little token of my appreciation. If you don't accept it, you're looking down on me." The Black Bear King said heroically. This, Qin Feiyang hesitated. But his heart was already blooming with joy. In the end, he took a deep breath and cupped his hands. Thank you, Senior. You're too polite. If you encounter any trouble in the future, feel free to come to Black Bear Mountain to look for me. The Black Bear King laughed. Definitely. Qin Feiyang also laughed. He did not expect to become friends with the Beast King of Black Bear Mountain by accident. No one would believe it if word got out. Alright, I'll take the child to recuperate first. You guys shouldn't stay in Black Bear Mountain. The Black Bear King smiled and said meaningfully. Qin Feiyang's pupils shrank. He nodded and said, understood. The Black Bear King carried the Black Bear cub and quickly disappeared at the end of the forest. Qin Feiyang and Wolf King both breathed a sigh of relief. That was close. I almost died. Wolf King muttered and asked suspiciously, Little Qin Z, what did it mean by the last sentence? Don't stay in Black Bear Mountain. What will happen? Do you still need to ask? The Black Bear cub almost died tragically. As its father, how could it let it go? I'm afraid that before dawn, a terrifying beast tide will occur in Black Bear Mountain. Qin Feiyang said. Wolf King turned pale with fright and said anxiously, then what are we waiting for? Let's go. The man and the wolf immediately turned around and ran outside as if they were running for their lives. On the way, Qin Feiyang carefully checked the Qianquan bag. There were indeed the corpses of ferocious beasts inside. There were a total of 5. Although they were already dead, there was still a faint trace of ferocious power. It was not difficult to judge that they were extremely powerful when they were alive. Wolf King chuckled and said, not only did we avoid a disaster, but we also got such a big gift. This trip was really worth it. The only regret is that we didn't get to eat the bear's paw. Little Qin Z, you were able to escape this time because of Brother Wolf's high IQ. When can you fulfill Brother Wolf's wish? There will always be a chance in the future. Qin Feiyang laughed. He definitely could not touch the black bears of Black Bear Mountain because he could not do anything ungrateful. Moreover, he did not have the ability to do so now. However, this time, he really had to thank Wolf King. If it were not for its quick thinking, he would definitely be like a turtle now, hiding in the castle and not daring to come out. Wolf King said, look, there are flames ahead. Qin Feiyang raised his head and looked over. Sure enough, he saw clusters of flames 100 meters away. Chapter 59. Let's go and take a look. Qin Feiyang said softly. He and Wolf King sneaked over silently. I didn't expect Qin Feiyang to be hiding in the Black Bear Mountain. I heard that he was very difficult to deal with. I didn't think much of it. I didn't expect it to be true. Humph, you think too highly of him. If he didn't hide in the dark and shoot arrows, I would have killed him long ago. That's right. Trash like him doesn't deserve to be our opponent. Hundreds of young men and women were sitting in the forest. They were healing their wounds and discussing at the same time. Some of them were serious. Some of them were disdainful. A man and a wolf hid in a dense bush and listened quietly. Little Qin Z, they dared to look down on you. Let's just kill them all here. Wolf King laughed evilly. Qin Feiyang said, there's no need to waste time here. Let's leave quickly. Does that mean Brother Wolf has to go to the ancient castle again? Wolf King was a little unwilling. Although the ancient castle was 100% safe, it was too stuffy. It was fine to stay for a short period of time. However, it was no different from staying in jail for a long time. Qin Feiyang thought for a while and said, why don't you stay in the Black Bear Mountain first? It was a ferocious beast. Even if there was a beast tide, it shouldn't be a big problem. Alright, alright. Wolf King nodded. That was what it wanted. Say, if we report the news that Qin Feiyang is in the Black Bear Mountain to the city lord and the pill hall master, will it be considered a great achievement? Of course. Yeah, why didn't I think of that? Let's go back and report immediately. Why don't the 6 of us go back? Alright, the rest of you stay here. Don't run around. The conversation suddenly rang out. Qin Feiyang frowned and looked up. He saw the 6 young men and women who didn't manage to kill Yi Shiwen talking to their companions. Then, they quickly disappeared into the dark forest. White-eyed wolf, I'm afraid you can't stay in the Black Bear Mountain. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and looked at Wolf King regretfully. Why? Wolf King was confused. Because when they send the news back, the big shots of the Black Bear Mountain will personally enter the Black Bear Mountain. If they bump into you, you'll be skinned alive. Even if you're not dead. Qin Feiyang said. Damn bastards, Brother Wolf will destroy them sooner or later. The Wolf King flew into a rage. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed, Don't worry, I'll let you out to get some fresh air when I have the chance. That's the only way. The Wolf King helplessly nodded. After sending Wolf King into the castle, Qin Feiyang sneered and silently retreated towards the cave. Ling Yunfei sat alone in the cave, head down, brows furrowed, as if he was thinking about something. As soon as Qin Feiyang entered the cave, he said to him, Come with me. Where to? And where have you been all this time? Ling Yunfei looked at him doubtfully. I'll tell you later, hurry up. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he turned and ran out of the cave. Ling Yunfei hurriedly got up and followed, but when he saw that Qin Feiyang was heading towards the outskirts of the Black Bear Mountain, he immediately frowned. After running for a while, Qin Feiyang suddenly stopped. Ling Yunfei's speed was too slow. At this rate, he would not be able to reach the Black Bear City before the 6 people. Without saying a word, he grabbed Ling Yunfei's arm and used the shifting smoke steps, running as fast as lightning in the forest. Jiang Haotian, what the hell are you doing? Where did the blood on your body come from? Ling Yunfei could not help but ask. When we get back to the Black Bear City, I'll tell you slowly. Qin Feiyang did not explain, nor did he have the time to explain. He focused on rushing. As for the fierce beasts they encountered along the way, they would hide if they could. There was basically no delay along the way. Unknowingly, the horizon began to turn white, and the sun slowly rose. Qin Feiyang took Ling Yunfei and finally ran out of the Black Bear Mountain. Look, isn't that Jiang Haotian? Yes, it's him. Didn't he go to the Black Bear Mountain? Why did he come back? The person next to him seems to be the trash of the Ling family. What's his name again? Ling Yunfei. Yes, it's him. Why is he with Jiang Haotian? Outside the city. Many people had already dispersed, but the guards of the Black Bear City, as well as the 4 giants, and the patriarchs of the various families were still there. Seeing Qin Feiyang and Jiang Haotian running over, the guards immediately began to whisper. Luo Xiong and the others also had suspicious looks on their faces. Arriving at the bottom of the platform, Qin Feiyang directly rushed up the platform, ignoring the guards around him. However, Ling Yunfei's face was gloomy. Because the discussion of the guards made him very uncomfortable. Luo Xiong stood up, looked at the 2 of them, and frowned. Jiang Haotian, Ling Yunfei, why did you come back? Did you give up halfway? Qin Feiyang was about to speak. But at this moment, the Ling family patriarch suddenly stood up, coldly looked at Ling Yunfei, and shouted, If you give up halfway, you are not worthy of being a descendant of my Ling family. Ling Yunfei, I order you now, immediately scram back to the Black Bear Mountain, otherwise, don't blame me for expelling you from the Ling family. Ling Yunfei's body stiffened, and his hands suddenly clenched tightly. The Ling family patriarch shouted, What are you waiting for? Yes. Ling Yunfei nodded, turned and walked down the platform, but his eyes were red, filled with endless grievance and loss. "Wait!" Qin Feiyang suddenly said. Ling Yunfei turned to look at him, with a trace of gratitude in his eyes, but more of helplessness, and then continued to walk towards the Black Bear Mountain. "Do you want to live under someone else's roof for the rest of your life, struggling at death's door?" Qin Feiyang said without turning his head. Ling Yunfei's eyes trembled, and he couldn't help but stop. The Ling family patriarch's eyes flashed coldly, and said in a deep voice, "Jiang Haotian, this is my Ling family's family matter, what right do you have to interfere?" He. Qin Feiyang smiled and said indifferently, "The younger generation naturally doesn't have the qualifications to ask about the Ling clan's internal affairs. However, Ling Yunfei is my friend. Can't I show some concern for my friend? Does even Ling Yunfei need your permission to be friends?" "Friend." Ling Yunfei's body trembled. The word friend was too unfamiliar to him. The Ling family patriarch was also a little surprised. How did this trash become friends with Jiang Haotian? This time, he needed to think carefully. After pondering for a moment, he looked at Qin Feiyang and said in a very tactful manner, "Jiang Haotian, your talent is extraordinary, and you are highly regarded by Palace Master Luo. Even Pavilion Master Pei is full of praise for you. As for Ling Yunfei, he is merely a mediocre person. I'm afraid that he does not have the fortune to be your friend." "Mediocre?" Qin Feiyang slightly raised the corner of his mouth and said with a faint smile, "Ling family patriarch, I don't know why you want to suppress Ling Yunfei, but I can tell you very responsibly that you will regret it in the future." The Ling family patriarch clenched his hands, and the anger in his eyes was clearly visible. Seeing this, Luo Xiong frowned. "Jiang Haotian, the Ling family patriarch is an elder, you can't be so rude." The pavilion master of the treasure pavilion also said, "Yes, as a junior, you should behave like a junior." "What are you doing?" "I didn't think it through." Qin Feiyang hurriedly admitted his mistake and said, "I'm sorry, Ling family patriarch, I spoke inappropriately, I hope you can forgive me." "It's fine." The Ling family patriarch waved his hand and returned to his seat. His expression was quite unpleasant. The other patriarch's gazes were a little different. It seemed like the Pill Hall Master and the Treasure Pavilion Master really valued Jiang Haotian. Luo Xiong said, "Jiang Haotian, tell us now, why did you suddenly come back?" Everyone on the scene immediately had a trace of doubt in their eyes. Qin Feiyang said, "Seniors, Ling Yunfei and I found Qin Feiyang and the wolf in the Black Bear Mountain, so we rushed back to report to you." "What? Qin Feiyang. Is this true?" At that moment, everyone stood up and stared at Qin Feiyang and Luo Xiong. However, Ling Yunfei also looked at Qin Feiyang with a confused face. "It's true." Qin Feiyang nodded his head. The Ling family patriarch glanced at Qin Feiyang, then turned to Ling Yunfei and asked, "Tell me, is this true?" This, Ling Yunfei hesitated for a while, then nodded his head, "It's true." The city master was overjoyed and laughed, "You've made a great contribution this time. I'll reward you with a high-grade martial skill now." He then took out a bamboo scroll from his chinquan bag and asked the guard to bring it to Qin Feiyang. It was enough to show that he was a decisive person. "Thank you, city master," Qin Feiyang said gratefully. He looked happy on the surface, but he was filled with disdain in his heart. High-grade martial skill. Was he trying to get rid of a beggar? However, Ling Yunfei's eyes shone brightly. He had always dreamed of having a martial skill, but he couldn't get it. Now, he finally got it, and it was a high-grade martial skill. At that moment, his excitement couldn't be described with words. At the same time, the Ling family patriarch's eyes also flashed a glimmer of light. As for the Mu family patriarch, the Jiang family patriarch, and several other patriarchs of small families, they were envious. At this time, The 6 young men and women finally ran out of the Black Bear Mountain. They came to the high platform with excitement, but when they heard that Qin Feiyang actually took the credit, their faces instantly became gloomy. However, the city master saw that they had worked hard to come back and reported the news, and each of them was rewarded with 1,000 gold coins. But how can 1,000 gold coins be compared with a high-grade martial skill? The 6 people were extremely upset, but they didn't dare to vent their anger because of the presence of several giants next to them. The few big shots also gathered together to discuss. The martial arts hall master frowned. This man and the wolf, how could they save the Black Bear King's cub? Do they know the Black Bear King? Whether they know him or not, I'm going to the Black Bear Mountain. Luo Xiong said coldly. He couldn't help but get angry when he thought of the herbs he had painstakingly cultivated being robbed by the damn man and wolf. But he didn't know that the real culprit was laughing at the side. The city master said, the royal family has given a death order to capture Qin Feiyang no matter what. So, I'm going to the Black Bear Mountain personally. Who else is willing to go with us? At last. Other than the Precious Treasure Pavilion Master and the Martial Arts Hall Master, everyone was prepared to go to the Black Bear Mountain to help because this was a good opportunity to curry favor with the Pill Hall and the royal family. After half an hour, the city master gathered dozens of guards. The Pill Hall and the major families also gathered many experts. Among them was the black-clothed old man who was guarding the herb field, and the Battle King expert from the Lin family of Yen City. When they were about to depart, the 6 young men and women took the initiative to lead the way. The city master and the others naturally wouldn't refuse someone to lead the way. Thus, under the lead of the 6 people, the group of people entered the Black Bear Mountain in a grandiose manner. As for Qin Feiyang, he looked like it was none of his business. Chapter 60. Why don't you let me go? After watching the city lord and the others enter the mountain range, Ling Yunfei retracted his gaze and walked to Qin Feiyang's side and asked softly. I'm doing this for your own good. I don't want you to lose your life. Qin Feiyang said. So serious? Ling Yunfei was surprised. He glanced at the martial arts hall master and Precious Treasure Pavilion Master and whispered, Tell me honestly, what happened last night? Don't ask. You just need to know that I didn't harm you. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Ling Yunfei furrowed his brows, but they immediately smoothened out as a smile crept onto his face. Indeed. The process wasn't important. The result was. He didn't do anything but received a superior martial technique. He should be content. If he kept pestering and insisted on getting to the bottom of it, it would cause this person to be dissatisfied. Here you go. Qin Feiyang handed the bamboo scroll to Ling Yunfei. Ling Yunfei stretched out his hands and carefully took the bamboo scroll as if he was receiving an imperial edict. He was so excited that his hands were trembling. I will make a copy for you as soon as possible. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. I don't need it. Keep it for yourself. You don't want it? Ling Yunfei was stunned. This was a superior martial technique. He didn't want it. Jiang Haotian, are you interested in joining my martial arts hall? At this moment, the martial arts hall master's voice sounded behind him. Ling Yunfei's body stiffened. He turned around and looked at Qin Feiyang enviously. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. He turned around and looked at the martial arts hall master. He cupped his hands and said, Senior, thank you for your kindness. However, I'm used to being lazy. I'm afraid it's not suitable for me to stay in the martial arts hall. Reject? Ling Yunfei was stunned. What was this guy doing? The martial arts hall was recognized as the sacred land of martial arts. Others dreamed of entering, but it was extremely difficult. Not to mention that the martial arts hall master personally sent out an invitation. To any youth, this was a supreme honor. At this moment, Ling Yunfei wished that he was Qin Feiyang. But this guy actually refused. He really wanted to ask, "Can you give this spot to me?" The martial arts hall master was astonished as well. "I've already told you that he won't agree. You still don't believe me? Now you're asking for a snub. Serves you right." The Precious Treasure Pavilion's pavilion master gloated from the side. "I don't believe that I can't handle a brat who's still wet behind the ears." The martial arts hall master snorted inwardly and glared at the Precious Treasure Pavilion master. He then looked at Qin Feiyang and smiled, "As long as you enter the martial arts hall, I will immediately apply to the Yen City's Martial King Hall for a reserved slot." "What?" internally decided. The head of the Precious Treasure Pavilion, Ling Yunfei, was dumbfounded. The level of the Martial King Hall was even higher than the Martial Arts Hall. There were countless martial arts halls in the entire county of Yen. However, there were only 2 people in the Martial Emperor Hall. One was in Yen City. The other was in Star Moon City. Anyone who could enter the Martial Emperor Hall was a genius among geniuses. The Martial Emperor Hall was famous for being strict when it came to recruiting disciples. Even the Martial Arts Hall's disciples had to go through layers of tests to enter the Martial Emperor Hall. However, it would be different if they obtained a reserved slot. Once the time came, they would definitely be able to enter the Martial Emperor Hall. If it was someone else, they would be jumping for joy. However, they didn't know that the third hall master and the martial arts hall master had already offered the same conditions in the Iron Bull town. Qin Feiyang didn't care at all. He even felt a sense of enmity in his heart. No matter if it was the martial arts hall or the pill hall, they were all controlled by Di Quan. He hated Di Quan very much. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said, "Senior, I'm really sorry." "You still refuse?" Ling Yunfei couldn't believe it. Was there something wrong with this bastard's head? The 2 leaders looked at each other in dismay. The martial arts hall master frowned and said, "Is it because of the pill hall that you don't want to enter the martial arts hall? Old dog Shen, how dare you try to steal my man? I'm not done with you today." Right at this moment, an angry roar could be heard. Immediately after, a white figure flew out from the city. It was the white-clothed old man who tested Qin Feiyang's mental strength in the pill hall. He rushed up to the high platform. Without saying anything, he rolled up his sleeves and rushed towards the martial arts hall master. He looked like he wanted to fight with him. The martial arts hall master frowned. The Precious Treasure Pavilion master quickly stood up and stopped the white-clothed old man. He comforted him and said, "Old Feng, you're going overboard. Furthermore, you're already so old. Don't be so angry. Calm down. Let's talk things over. What else is there to talk about?" He obviously knows that Jiang Haotian is someone my pill hall wants. Now, he's interfering. Isn't he going overboard? Old dog Shen, do you still have any sense of shame? The white-robed old man immediately rained curses down on him. "Old Feng, Jiang Haotian has been hiding for a whole month. It's obvious that he doesn't want to go to the pill hall. Why do you have to force him? Furthermore, your pill hall has a lot of talents. You don't lack him. Why do you have to snatch him from my martial arts hall?" The martial arts hall master was also angry. He glared at the white-clothed old man. "Snatch him from you? Why are you so ridiculous? Who gave you such a thick face? Why are you so shameless? Do you know what first come first serve is? Let me tell you, old dog Shen. With me here today, don't even think about getting what you want. This Jiang Haotian is mine." The white-clothed old man shouted angrily. The Precious Treasure Pavilion master was confused and said, "Old Feng, Jiang Haotian doesn't even know how to concoct elixirs. Why do you want him? Isn't that right? The pill hall is a place to concoct elixirs. If you let him go to the pill hall, it's a waste of his talent. The martial arts hall master was also confused. Bullshit. It's a waste of talent for him to enter the martial arts hall. The white-clothed old man sneered. Seeing how unreasonable he was, the martial arts hall master said angrily, "You're being unreasonable, right? Don't force me to use violence." The white-clothed old man said with disdain, "Try it if you dare. If you dare to use violence, I'll shut down the martial arts hall. From today onwards, the martial arts hall in the Black Bear City can forget about getting even half an elixir from the pill hall. Bastard, don't go too far." The martial arts hall master suddenly stood up. He was furious. "Seniors, stop arguing. Whether it's the pill hall or the martial arts hall, I won't join either." Seeing that the two of them were about to fight, Qin Feiyang's voice suddenly fell into their ears. Immediately, the two of them were slightly stunned. They turned around and looked at Qin Feiyang at the same time. They asked, "Why?" Ling Yunfei and the Precious Treasure Pavilion Master also looked at him in confusion. They really couldn't understand. Why didn't he join the two major forces? What did he want? Qin Feiyang sighed and said, "I have my reasons. Please forgive me." The few of them looked at each other and didn't know what to say for a moment. Qin Feiyang turned around and walked to the bottom of the city wall. He leaned against the wall and lowered his head in silence. Ling Yunfei came to his side and patted his shoulder. He smiled and said, "If you want to find someone to talk to, I'm willing to be a listener." "Thank you." Qin Feiyang looked at him gratefully. However, there were some things that could only be buried in his heart. Roar! Roar! Chirp! Suddenly, in the mountain range, there were loud beastly roars. It was deafening and startled the surroundings. There were the roars of ferocious beasts. There were the sharp cries of ferocious beasts. Some of the sounds came from the outside of the mountain range. However, some of them were very far away. They came from the middle and the depths of the mountain range. Qin Feiyang suddenly raised his head and looked at the Black Bear Mountain. His eyes flickered as he muttered to himself, "Has the beast tide started? What's going on?" Ling Yunfei, the martial arts hall master, and the other two stared at the Black Bear Mountain in bewilderment. The people in the city heard the sound and rushed out of the city. "Let's go and take a look." The old man in white took a step forward and rushed towards the Black Bear Mountain. The two leaders looked at each other and quickly followed. Soon, the three of them returned with gloomy faces. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang and the martial arts hall master went up to greet them. Ling Yunfei asked, "My three lords, what happened?" "Beast tide." The old man in white spat out these two words with difficulty. "What? It's actually a beast tide. I've lived in the Black Bear Mountain for most of my life, and there has never been a beast tide. Why did it suddenly happen today? There must be a reason. Those young people are still hunting in the Black Bear Mountain. What should we do now?" At this time, many people had already arrived outside the city. When they heard the two words beast tide, there was a commotion. "Everyone, don't panic. Those ferocious beasts have no signs of leaving the Black Bear Mountain. However, for safety reasons, please enter the city as soon as possible. I will mobilize all the disciples of the martial arts hall to protect everyone's safety." The martial arts hall master shouted. Before his voice faded, the people outside the city rushed into the city again. "Old Pei, Old Feng, you guys stay here. I'll make the arrangements." The martial arts hall master instructed and hurriedly entered the city, disappearing into the crowd. How could this be? We have always been at peace with the ferocious beasts of the Black Bear Mountain. Why would they suddenly go crazy today? City Lord, you have to hurry. Those young people are the future pillars of the Black Bear City. They can't die in the Black Bear Mountain. Looking at the Black Bear Mountain, the old man in white and the treasure pavilion master were worried. The entire Black Bear City. At this moment, they were on high alert. Beast Tide, Ling Yunfei, who was beside him, kept muttering these two words in his heart. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and turned to look at Qin Feiyang in surprise. He asked in a low voice, "Did you already know that there would be a beast tide in the Black Bear Mountain?" Qin Feiyang nodded. Ling Yunfei reached out and grabbed Qin Feiyang's arm, hurriedly walking down the high platform. The treasure pavilion master and the other two saw it, but they didn't care. They only thought that the two were frightened by the beast tide. The two came to an empty corner. Ling Yunfei turned to look at Qin Feiyang and said angrily, "Since you already knew, why didn't you tell the city lord and the others in advance? Do you know how many people will be killed by this?" Qin Feiyang said, "Are you worried about the people of your Ling family?" "I'm worried about everyone. Jiang Haotian, when you killed Jiang Chuan and the others yesterday, I thought that your cruelty would be limited. But now I understand that I was too naive. You have already lost your humanity. You don't deserve to be a human. I, Ling Yunfei, really can't afford to have a friend like you. I hope we never meet again." Ling Yunfei said in disgust and turned to leave angrily. "I have lost my humanity, I don't deserve to be a human," Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. But it was a sneer. The Ling Yunfei from 5 years ago was very similar to the current Ling Yunfei. But after that unforeseen event, and the 5 years of experience in Iron Ox Town, he deeply understood one truth. Everything in this world was not as beautiful as he imagined. This world was very cruel. Everywhere was filled with desire. Kindness and pity would only make one die faster. You are indeed too naive. Because soon, those people you are worried about will once again throw you into the abyss. All your hopes will turn into bubbles in the end. Chapter 61. After Qin Feiyang returned to the high platform, he didn't bother with Ling Yunfei anymore. Time passed quickly. Dusk fell. A group of people escaped from the Black Bear Mountain. The leader was the city lord. He led a dozen guards to clear the way. Luo Xiong led the elites from the Pill Palace to cover the rear. The old man in black who was guarding the herb field, the battle king from Yen City's Lin family, the family heads of the Black Bear City, and the elites of the big families were on the left and right respectively. In the middle were the young people who went hunting. However, out of the 3,200 people who went in, only a few hundred were left. Moreover, everyone had different degrees of injuries on their bodies. Even a battle king like Luo Xiong was covered in injuries and looked extremely miserable. With a spurt of energy, they ran to the front of the high platform and collapsed on the ground, gasping for breath. The city lord and the others also put their hands on their knees and bent their backs, greedily breathing in the fresh air. Their eyes were filled with fear that could not be dispelled. Qin Feiyang looked at them one by one. The 6 young people, Jiang Wei, Mu Fei, Ling Sheng, and the others were very lucky. They were all still alive. At the same time, Ling Yunfei was also looking around. When he saw the Ling family head, he hurried over and asked with concern, "Second uncle, are you all right?" "I'm fine." The Ling family head waved his hand, his face was extremely ugly. "Second uncle." Qin Feiyang was surprised. So Ling Yunfei's status in the Ling family wasn't low. But why would he be suppressed by the Ling family head? Roar. Chirp. Loud and clear beastly roars resounded, shaking the clouds. Everyone's expression changed, and they quickly looked up. They saw beasts and birds of different sizes wandering around the edge of the mountain. Their eyes were fierce, and they roared continuously. "Damn it! Don't tell me they want to attack the city." Everyone panicked. The city lord shouted, "Quickly pass down the order, the whole city is on alert." However, all the beasts suddenly turned around and disappeared into the mountain. Until then. Only then did everyone let out a sigh of relief. City Lord, Luo Xiong, why are there so few people left? The precious treasure pavilion master frowned. The beast tide is coming too quickly. The ferocious beasts of Black Bear Mountain all went crazy at the same time. We didn't have time to save them. More than half of the people we brought in are dead or injured. The losses are too severe. The Black Bear King's strength has improved again. He's now a 2-star battle king. Without Lin Liang's help, I'm afraid that even we wouldn't have been able to escape unscathed. The city lord and the other big shots spoke one after another. When they recalled their experience in Black Bear Mountain today, they couldn't help but shudder with fear. Lin Liang was the battle king from Swallow City's Lin family. 2-star battle king. The pavilion master and the others were shocked. Qin Feiyang was also shocked. He didn't expect the Black Bear King's strength to be so terrifying. Even the big shots couldn't do anything to it. The 6 young men and women suddenly walked towards Qin Feiyang, their eyes filled with hostility. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed as he jokingly asked, "Excuse me, have you found Qin Feiyang? If you can't find it, then this trip will have been in vain." The reason why the 6 of them took the initiative to lead the way was that they wanted to claim the reward. But in the end, they didn't get the reward. Instead, they encountered a beast tide and almost lost their lives. It could be said that they suffered a double loss. Facing Qin Feiyang's mockery, the 6 of them remained silent. However, cold light flickered in their eyes as they surrounded Qin Feiyang. One of the young men in white said in a deep voice, "You weren't there last night. How did you know that Qin Feiyang and that wolf appeared?" Qin Feiyang said indifferently, "Sorry, I was there at that time. I was just hiding in the dark, so you didn't notice me." "Bastard, you actually dare to steal our credit. If you know what's good for you, immediately hand over the martial technique that the city lord gave you. Otherwise, I guarantee that you won't have a foothold in Black Bear City in the future." The 6 of them didn't hide their threats. "I don't have any martial technique. If you have the ability, go find the city lord. As for the foothold, I'm sorry, I don't care." Qin Feiyang shrugged. "You, courting death. Let me tell you, even if we kill you now, the city lord will not punish us." A strong killing intent emerged in the eyes of the 6 people. "So confident?" Qin Feiyang was stunned, and said indifferently, "I don't believe that there is no law in Black Bear City." The young man in white sneered, "The law is only for ordinary people. For geniuses like us, it exists in name only. Now do you know how big the gap between you and us is? If you don't want to die, hurry up and give it to us. The 6 of you, get over here." But at this time, an angry roar exploded. The city lord glared at the 6 young men and women. His eyes were enough to kill. "City lord, are you calling us?" The 6 of them were stunned and turned to look at the city lord with a puzzled expression. The city lord said, "That's right, it's you guys." The 6 of them hurriedly ran over. The young man in white asked, "City lord, did we do something wrong? Until now, you still haven't realized your mistake. If you didn't provoke the Black Bear cub, would the Black Bear King have launched a beast tide? Without the beast tide, would the others have died? Now, this city lord will clearly tell you that you are fully responsible for their deaths." The city lord said in a tone that could not be disobeyed. "Let us be responsible." The 6 of them froze on the spot. "City lord, we are also victims. Why should we bear this responsibility?" "If you really want to bear the responsibility," Jiang Haotian was also present at that time. "He should also bear a share." The 6 of them refused to accept this and wanted to drag Qin Feiyang down with them. "Jiang Haotian, what do you want to say?" The city lord looked at Qin Feiyang, his face gloomy. Qin Feiyang laughed, "City lord, it's true that I was present at that time, but from the beginning to the end, I never made a move. I think this matter shouldn't have anything to do with me." The city lord turned to look at Ling Yunfei and said expressionlessly, "You and Jiang Haotian are together, is what he said true?" At this moment, the crowd's gaze landed on Ling Yunfei's figure. Because his next words were enough to change the entire situation. The Ling family head said, "Yunfei, you must speak the truth." Ling Xing said, "That's right, as a member of the Ling family, you must not lie." Ling Yunfei looked at the two of them, then looked at Qin Feiyang and shook his head. "At that time, I was resting in the cave and was not with Jiang Haotian, so I don't know all of this, but I just asked him. In fact, he already knew that there would be a beast tide." Already knew? Everyone present immediately looked at Qin Feiyang, every pair of eyes flashing with a shocking cold light. Qin Feiyang looked deeply at Ling Yunfei and shook his head. "It seems that in this world, there is indeed no one worthy of trust." Ling Yunfei said, "You saved me, I am very grateful to you, but what I said now is the truth, I have a clear conscience." "What a good, clear conscience." Qin Feiyang laughed, a trace of mockery creeping up his eyes. "I hope you can continue like this, don't come crying and begging me one day." Ling Yunfei said, "Don't worry, it will definitely not happen." Plop. At this time, the 6 young men and women looked at each other and knelt on the ground. "City Lord, we are indeed in the wrong, we should not have provoked the black bear cub, we are willing to accept the punishment. But if Jiang Haotian could have told everyone earlier, there would not have been so many casualties this time. He did not report what he knew and deceived the Lord, please punish him severely. I even suspect that he is in cahoots with the Black Bear King." The 6 said. These words could be said to be extremely vicious, it was obvious that they wanted to kill Qin Feiyang. The city lord said gloomily, "Jiang Haotian, how do you explain?" The martial arts hall master sighed, "I originally admired you, but I never expected you to be so vicious. If you want to condemn someone, why worry about the pretext?" Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled, looked at the 6 people, and said lightly, "You have seriously injured the Black Bear cub, as the Beast King of the Black Bear Mountain, the Black Bear King will definitely not let it go. I can think of this, it only shows that I have some brains, but you can't think of this, it shows that you are stupider than pigs." The 6 people were furious. "Am I wrong?" Qin Feiyang sneered. The city lord and the others' faces also became very ugly. Because they also did not think of this. According to this boy's words, weren't they also stupider than pigs? Qin Feiyang's words could be said to have offended everyone. But he was not afraid. At most, he could hide in the castle, who could do anything to him? He glanced at the several giants and said, "I will give you one last sentence, the survival of the fittest, remember to use your brain more in the future, because in this world, no one will be kind enough to save you, your life is in your own hands." The scene was dead silent. People were speechless. The city lord let out a long breath and said, "Although what you said is very reasonable, but a mistake is a mistake, you have to bear the main responsibility. I will let people calculate the losses, you will compensate half, and the remaining half will be shared by the Jiang family, Mu family, and Ling family. Do you have any objections?" No objections. The 3 patriarchs shook their heads. Why? Qin Feiyang frowned. He had never seen such an unreasonable person. It was his freedom to say it or not. Why should he bear half of the responsibility? What's more, if he really wanted to investigate, it should be the 4 major forces who should bear all the responsibility, because they were the ones who held the big hunting competition. The city lord did this just to shirk responsibility. After all, so many people died, if they had to compensate, it would be a large amount. The most important thing is that this matter is very likely to alarm the most powerful giants in the Yan County. When the time comes to investigate, as the city lord of the Black Bear Mountain, naturally, he will not be able to get away from it, including Luo Xiong and the others. It may even affect their future. Therefore, they have to find a scapegoat, so this scapegoat fell on Qin Feiyang and the 3 major families. The three major families want to establish a foothold in the Black Bear City, even if they have to go bankrupt, they have to bear it. But Qin Feiyang is different. As the prince of the great Qin Empire, his self-esteem does not allow him to bow to such a snobbish person. What's more, he is now alone, what is there to be afraid of? At the same time, being contradicted again and again, the city lord only felt that his face was lost, and a trace of murderous intent has sprouted in his heart. He stared coldly at Qin Feiyang for a long time before saying, "I am the city lord of the Black Bear City, my words are orders, you dare to disobey? Then I'm sorry, I'm not from the Black Bear City, I don't have to listen to your orders." Qin Feiyang sneered, turned around, and walked down the high platform without looking back. A mere city lord wants to order him around? What a joke. Take him down for me. The city lord was completely furious and shouted. Clang. Chapter 62. Qin Feiyang's gaze turned cold as he dashed towards one of the guards. He wanted to gain the initiative by striking first and at the same time test the strength of these guards. Stubborn. That guard shouted coldly as he swung his blade. The sharp blade in his hand flashed with a bone-piercing sharpness. Qin Feiyang's body tilted slightly as he calmly dodged. He stretched out his index finger and pointed towards that guard's wrist. True energy surged at his fingertip. His entire index finger was instantly covered with a layer of ice crystals. Ice crystal finger. Ling Yunfei's pupils constricted as he hurriedly shouted, "Be careful, that's his martial technique, it's very powerful." Yesterday, Qin Feiyang used this martial technique to easily kill those anacondas. Martial technique. Originally, that guard did not take it to heart. However, upon hearing Ling Yunfei's words, his expression changed as he quickly retracted his arm. At the same time, the sharp blade in his hand turned and slashed towards Qin Feiyang's index finger. Qin Feiyang had calculated this attack before he made his move. However, he did not expect Ling Yunfei to warn him. It was already too late for him to retract his index finger. Clang! In an instant, the tip of his index finger collided with the sharp blade, causing an ear-piercing metallic sound. Even if your finger is made of iron, it can still be cut off by you. The guard sneered. However, at the next moment, that sharp blade, accompanied by a loud cracking sound, broke in the middle. How is this possible? Not only that guard, everyone at the scene was dumbfounded. One must know. The weapons of the city lord's guards were all made of superior black iron and were indestructible. However, it was actually broken by this person's finger. Was this a dream? His strength was actually so terrifying. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and looked at his finger. He was also very surprised. The ice crystals on his finger had already shattered and disappeared without a trace. There was also a shocking wound on his fingertip. Even the bones could be seen and blood was constantly gushing out. Although he was injured, his finger was not broken. I didn't expect that not only is the ice crystal finger powerful, but its defense is also so shocking. In the past, the martial skills he used most often were the rushing thunder kill fist, shifting smoke steps, mad lion roar, and wind thunder palm. He rarely used the ice crystal finger. Unexpectedly, the power of the ice crystal finger was even stronger than the other martial skills. If it wasn't for the protection of that layer of ice, his index finger would have been broken. Jiang Haotian, don't think that you're the only one with martial skills. Quicksand fist, kill. When the guard regained his senses, he flew into a rage out of humiliation. He clenched the 5 fingers of his right hand, and his real cheek gushed out. Then, he threw a punch at Qin Feiyang. Thunder wind palm. Qin Feiyang did not hesitate to send out a palm strike. Wind and thunder burst forth, toppling the mountains and overturning the seas. Bang! Palm and fist met. The guard's face instantly turned pale as he spat out a mouthful of blood and was knocked backward. His fist was severely injured, with blood splattering everywhere. Then he looked at Qin Feiyang. He remained motionless, as steady as Mount Tai. Seeing this scene, everyone was tongue-tied. Only now did they realize that they had greatly underestimated this person's strength. Bang! In the process of retreating, the guard suddenly lost his balance and sat on the ground. He looked at Qin Feiyang in disbelief. Qin Feiyang looked down at him coldly and said indifferently, "So you're only a 5-star martial master, and the quicksand fist is only a medium martial skill. Added together, you only have the strength of 7 brute elephants. It seems that the guards of Black Bear City are not that great." Hearing these contemptuous words, the guard's eyes flashed with a terrifying cold light. He stood up and shouted, "You dare to look down on us? Everyone, attack together." The other 10 guards immediately rushed forward with sharp blades in their hands. "You guys are not enough." Qin Feiyang sneered. He used the shifting smoke steps, sometimes using the ice crystal finger, sometimes using the thunder wind palm. On this plane, he fought with the 10 or so people crazily. If I remember correctly, the last time Jiang Haotian came to the Precious Treasure Pavilion, he was only a 3-star martial master. The Precious Treasure Pavilion master muttered. So, he only used a month's time to break through and become a 4-star martial master. The Pill Hall master was surprised. The Precious Treasure Pavilion master nodded. So fast. All the leaders were in disbelief. In just a month's time, he broke through a small realm. Even if he ate pills every day, it was impossible. The Precious Treasure Pavilion master said again, "There's only one person in Black Bear City who can compare with this kid's talent. She's Luo Qingzhu. Unfortunately, speaking of which." He looked at the Jiang family's patriarch with eyes full of regret. The Jiang family's patriarch also lowered his head. He felt extremely bitter. If it wasn't for that incident, Luo Qingzhu's father wouldn't have run away from home. He wouldn't have abandoned the Jiang family. Luo Qingzhu wouldn't have the same surname as her mother. If all these didn't happen, then the Jiang family would definitely be one of the biggest families in the county of Yan. The Mu family, Ling family, and the other small families' patriarchs in Black Bear City looked at the Jiang family's patriarch with a hint of schadenfreude. On the other side, Luo Xiong, the white-clothed old man, and the black-clothed old man stood together. They looked at Qin Feiyang who was fighting fiercely. "Hall master, no matter what, we have to persuade this kid to join the Pill Hall," the white-clothed old man said softly. The black-clothed old man was stunned. He was confused and said, "That's strange. Old man Feng, you've always been arrogant. You don't care about anyone. Why do you like this Jiang Haotian so much? You don't know." The white-clothed old man frowned. "What should I know?" The black-clothed old man was even more confused. Luo Xiong said softly, "Old Mo, I've been too busy recently. I forgot to tell you. Jiang Haotian has," he stopped talking abruptly. Luo Xiong looked at the city master and the other leaders cautiously. "Has what? Hurry up and tell me." The black-clothed old man was even more confused. He couldn't help but urge them softly. Luo Xiong said, "I'll make it clear first. When I tell you later, don't make a fuss. Yes, keep it a secret." The white-clothed old man nodded with a serious face. Make a fuss? The black-clothed old man's curiosity was completely piqued. After all, he was a genuine battle emperor. What could possibly make him yell like that? Luo Xiong moved closer to the black-clothed old man's ear and said in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "Let me tell you. Jiang Haotian has level 9 mental energy." "What? Level 9? The black-clothed old man exclaimed on the spot. Luo Xiong and the white-clothed old man both stared at him. He hurriedly shut his mouth and forcefully swallowed the last few words he was about to say. The shock in his eyes was also quickly concealed. The city master and the others looked at the three of them. They didn't pay much attention to them when they saw that their expressions were normal. The black-clothed old man asked calmly, "Hall master, old Feng, are you sure you didn't make a mistake?" The white-clothed old man said, "I saw him test his mental energy with my own eyes. How could I make a mistake?" Gasp. The black-clothed old man took a deep breath. Level 9 mental energy. No one in the entire county of Yen had ever been born. He couldn't be described as a genius anymore. He could be called a monster that only appeared once every 10,000 years. "No, stop them. We can't let Jiang Haotian get hurt," the black-clothed old man said anxiously. Luo Xiong said, "No hurry. Let him suffer first. Let him understand that only by joining the pill hall, he can ignore the restrictions of the law." "That makes sense." The black-clothed old man nodded. Bang! Bang! Ah! At this moment, following a series of cries of agony, the guards fell to the ground like meteorites, with blood splattering everywhere. However, they weren't dead. They were only seriously injured. Seeing this, Luo Xiong and the other two couldn't help but smile bitterly. It seemed like the guards of Black Bear City wouldn't be able to make him suffer. Phew! Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and looked at the city master not far away. He said calmly, "Let me give you a piece of advice. Don't be so self-righteous. Otherwise, you might not be able to keep your position as the city master." After saying that, he turned around and left. "Little bastard, you're courting death. The king of Yen gave me the authority to take charge of Black Bear City. Going against me is blasphemy. This crime is unforgivable. I now announce that I'm offering a reward of 1 million gold coins for his head as a warning to others." 1 million. Hearing this astronomical number, the scene was in an uproar. Even the heads of the Jiang family, Mu family, and Ling family were in high spirits. 1 million gold coins was enough to increase the overall strength of any small family overnight. Go. Surround him. Don't let him escape. Chapter 63. A million gold coins, you're really generous. Qin Feiyang turned his head and looked at the city lord. His eyes flashed with a cold light. Once the reward of 1 million gold coins was announced, it would be harder for him to leave here alive. "How dare you disrespect the city lord, die!" A tall and sturdy middle-aged man rushed out from the crowd like lightning and slapped towards Qin Feiyang. His palm was like thunder and filled with killing intent. This man was the Black Bear City's guard captain. Qin Feiyang's expression changed. He slapped with his wind thunder palm. Crack! The two palms met. Qin Feiyang's arm was broken on the spot. His whole body was sent flying and smashed into the crowd. The surrounding people's eyes lit up and rushed forward. How could they let this go? If this continued, Qin Feiyang would definitely be cut into pieces. The three leaders of the Pill Palace could no longer stay calm. "All of you, stop. Whoever dares to hurt Jiang Haotian is going against the Pill Palace." The white-clothed old man shouted. His voice was like thunder on the ground. The crowd was shocked and quickly stepped back. Qin Feiyang had already planned to take refuge in the ancient castle. However, he didn't expect the Pill Palace to protect him at this moment. The city lord looked at the white-clothed old man and said in a deep voice, "Feng Cheng, what do you mean?" Feng Cheng said unyieldingly, "Isn't my meaning very clear? No one is allowed to hurt Jiang Haotian." The city lord frowned. At this moment, Ling Sheng stepped forward and cupped his hands. "Senior Feng, killing Jiang Haotian is the city lord's order. Moreover, Jiang Haotian didn't report it and killed so many innocent people. He deserves to be killed." Isn't it a bit inappropriate for you to protect him in front of everyone? Senior Feng, you must think twice before you act. Yeah, protecting an unrighteous villain is really bad for the Pill Palace's image. It's not worth it. The 6 young men and women also tried to persuade him. Feng Qing frowned and said, "You few brats still wet behind the ears, what qualifications do you have to interrupt? Scram to the side for this old man." Ling Xing said, "Senior, we're all thinking for you. Get lost." Feng Qing shouted angrily. The 7 people's pupils shrunk. They stepped aside unwillingly. Their faces were very ugly. It was obvious. This damned old man was already determined to protect Jiang Haotian. The city lord glanced at Feng Qing, then turned to Luo Xiong and asked, "Is this your idea?" Luo Xiong nodded and said, "That's my idea. It's also the unanimous decision of the 3 of us." "Why?" The city lord frowned. The black-clothed old man sneered, "Of course it's because, cough." Luo Xiong and Feng Qing coughed at the same time. The black-clothed old man's words came to an abrupt halt. He thought to himself, "What a close shave, I almost let it slip." The city lord shouted, "What is the reason?" Clearly, he was enraged. Luo Xiong said, "Because he's a disciple of the Pill Hall. We have the responsibility and obligation to protect him." "What? When did Jiang Haotian become a disciple of the Pill Hall? Wasn't he still hiding some time ago?" Everyone was bewildered. The martial arts hall master said, "Luo Xiong, Jiang Haotian said himself this morning that he wouldn't join the Pill Hall or the martial arts hall. Old Feng was also there at that time. He heard it with his own ears. What you said doesn't sound convincing." Luo Xiong smiled and said, "Then let's ask him whether he joined the Pill Hall or not." As soon as he finished speaking, Qin Feiyang became the center of attention again. He looked at the 3 leaders of the Pill Hall. He could see a trace of expectation in their eyes. After hesitating for a moment, he nodded and said, "That's right. I've already joined the Pill Hall." Originally, he didn't plan to join any forces, because he hated everything that the imperial power ruled. However, these things made him understand one thing. Only by joining a few forces could he cultivate peacefully. Otherwise, he would never have a peaceful day. The Pill Hall was no doubt the best choice. Because the Pill Hall had everything that he wanted. Elixir fire, elixir furnace, elixir recipe, herbs, etc. Seeing that Qin Feiyang admitted that he was a member of the Pill Hall, Luo Xiong and the other 2 immediately smiled. This brat was quite sensible. "Kid, let's go. Follow me back." Feng Qing ran in front of Qin Feiyang and grabbed his arm tightly, dragging him towards the city gate. The city lord shouted, "Wait, how are we going to settle the compensation? The hall master will stay here and discuss with you slowly." Feng Qing said without turning his head. He dragged Qin Feiyang and quickly entered the city. "Hall master, I'll go back too." The black-clothed old man left behind a sentence and left hurriedly with excitement. Don't they know how to keep a low profile? Luo Xiong felt helpless. The 2 old men were too obvious. After this incident, the city lord and the others would think of ways to investigate. Bastard! He actually joined the Pill Hall. Ling Sheng, Jiang Wei, Mu Fei, and the other 6 young men and women looked gloomy. They were jealous. They couldn't figure out what kind of ability did this person have to make the 3 leaders of the Pill Hall protect him like this. Don't think that you can rest easy after joining the Pill Hall. Let me tell you, it's not that easy. Ling Sheng clenched his fists. His whole body was filled with hostility. In the city, Feng Cheng and the black-clothed old man looked at Qin Feiyang carefully. They were afraid that he would suddenly run away. The people they met along the way were all curiously sizing up the 3 of them. Qin Feiyang felt that he was like a monkey now. He felt very uncomfortable. Sigh. He sighed deeply and said helplessly, "Seniors, can you not be like this? I really want to join the pill hall now. I won't go back on my words, and I won't run away." Feng Qing said, "Don't try to fool us with your nonsense. You might be able to fool ghosts, but you can't fool us. If you really want to join the pill hall, why did you hide before? If not, we'll use the alchemy fire as bait." "I'm afraid you'll still be hiding," the black-clothed old man said with disdain. "Alchemy fire? Bait?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "I heard that you bought a lot of qi-amassing pills in the treasure pavilion. So, I guess that you don't know how to concoct pills. So, the hall master and I thought of a plan to lure you out. We'll use the hunting competition, the alchemy fire, and 1,000,000 gold coins as bait to lure you out. Hee, kid, I didn't expect you to really come out." Feng Qing laughed evilly. "Heard about it." Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Indeed, the older the ginger, the spicier it was. Actually, at that time, he also smelled the scent of a conspiracy. But under the temptation of the alchemy fire, he didn't think too much about it. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, "If I didn't appear, or if the first place was taken away by someone else, wouldn't the alchemy fire fall into someone else's hands? You guys are really making a big bet here. Kid, you're too naive. How can we take out the alchemy fire so easily? We can just find an excuse to fool you. Even if you get the first place, if you don't join the pill hall, you won't be able to get the alchemy fire." Feng Qing laughed and said, "In the end, it's just a pretense. You guys are really despicable." Qin Feiyang didn't hide his disdain. Those who do big things don't care about small things. Haven't you heard of this before? Feng Qing said confidently. He didn't feel ashamed at all. Instead, he was a little complacent. "You're the legendary shameless old man." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. He finally understood the true meaning of shamelessness is invincible. "Let me tell everyone a piece of breaking news. Jiang Haotian has already come to the pill hall." Didn't he not want to come to the pill hall? Why did he suddenly agree? You guys didn't see how exciting the scene was. The city lord offered 1,000,000 gold coins reward for his head. Only by joining the pill hall can he escape from death. I thought he was really powerful. Turns out he's just a coward. When Qin Feiyang just entered the pill hall, the news spread crazily among the disciples of the pill hall. In a certain alchemy room, a young man wearing a purple robe with an extraordinary temperament was standing beside a cauldron. He was concentrating on refining pills. Dong dong. A series of knocks on the door suddenly sounded. The young man in purple frowned and asked, "Who is it?" "Senior brother Cheng Yi, it's me, Ling Yan." A respectful voice sounded from outside. Cheng Yi said, "I'm refining pills. Let's talk later." "Senior brother Cheng Yi, this matter can't wait. Jiang Haotian has already agreed to join the pill hall." A respectful voice sounded from outside. Jiang Haotian. A cold light flashed in Cheng Yi's eyes. The herbs that he just put into the cauldron were all destroyed in an instant along with a burst of black smoke. To this, he turned around and walked to the stone bench at the side. He sat down and said, "Come in." The stone door was pushed open by a strong force. An 18 or 19-year-old black-clothed young man strode in. Cheng Yi didn't talk nonsense and asked directly, "Where is he now?" Ling Yan said, "Elder Feng and Elder Mo are bringing him to the meditation room." Cheng Yi lowered his head and pondered for a moment. He said, "Going to the meditation room means that he hasn't condensed his mental strength yet. Did you find out what level his mental strength is?" Ling Yan shook his head and said, "No. It's not just me. In the entire Pill Palace, other than the palace master and the two elders, no one else knows. However, to make the palace master and the two elders put in so much effort, his mental strength is definitely not low. It's very likely that he will threaten your position in the Pill Palace. Cheng Yi frowned. This was also the problem he was thinking about. He was the only person in the entire Black Bear City who had a level 6 mental strength. Ever since he entered the Pill Hall, he was doted on. The Hall Master and the 2 elders even took turns to teach him personally. It could be said that in the Black Bear City's Pill Hall, he was the future star. No one could compete with him. But just a month ago, after Jiang Haotian appeared, the Hall Master and the other 2 elders didn't come to teach him anymore. They didn't even come to visit him. All their energy was focused on finding Jiang Haotian. Thus, he deeply felt threatened. So, when he heard that Jiang Haotian entered the Pill Hall, his heart couldn't calm down. Senior brother, there's only one spot in the Danwang Hall. You must consider it carefully. Ling Yan's eyes flashed and continued to persuade him. Cheng Yi clenched his hands and said in a deep voice, "Go and investigate. No matter what price you have to pay, you must find out the level of his mental strength." "All right." Ling Yan nodded, turned around and strode away. "Jiang Haotian, if your existence really threatens me, I promise I will kill you." Chapter 64. In a stone room. Qin Feiyang sat cross-legged on a praying mat. 3 meters in front of him, there was a stone pillar. At the top of the stone pillar, there was a palm-sized transparent crystal. Feng Cheng and the old man in black stood beside the stone pillar. Feng Cheng asked, "Jiang Haotian, do you know what this crystal is?" Qin Feiyang carefully recalled and asked, "Is it a meditation stone?" "Yes." Feng Cheng nodded and said, "Since you know about the meditation stone, then I won't talk nonsense. Calm down and slowly condense your mental power. Old Mo, let's go out and protect him. Don't let those brats come in and cause trouble." The 2 of them walked out of the meditation room one after the other and closed the stone door. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and looked at the meditation stone on the stone pillar. He tried to search the memories in the depths of his soul. Although he had never been involved in alchemy before, he still knew the basics. Mental power was divided into 2 forms. The first was formless. It was the same as Qin Feiyang's current mental power, invisible and untouchable. The second was tangible. Tangible spiritual power was a substance similar to air currents. It could be seen and touched. But to turn the formless mental power into tangible form, it required the meditation stone. The method of using the meditation stone depended on the person. But in advance, he needed to get rid of all distracting thoughts. His mind was as still as water, and enter the state of one with the stone. If he had any distracting thoughts, he wouldn't be able to succeed. Phew! After letting out a long breath, Qin Feiyang held his breath and slowly dispersed the distracting thoughts in his mind. Outside the meditation room, there were dozens of people gathered. They were all disciples of the Pill Hall. "Elders, can you tell us what level of mental power Jiang Haotian has? Is it about the same as senior brother Cheng Yi? I think he's even stronger than senior brother Cheng Yi." Because when senior brother Cheng Yi condensed his mental power, the 2 elders didn't protect him personally. This kind of treatment is unprecedented in the past and will never be replicated in the future. If that's the case, doesn't Jiang Haotian have level 7 mental power? A group of youths gathered around Feng Cheng and his companion, chattering non-stop. Their eyes were filled with curiosity. Ling Yan was also in the crowd. Feng Cheng laughed and scolded, "You stinking brats, don't try to play tricks here. This old man will definitely not reveal a single word to you." A trace of disappointment crept into everyone's eyes. Ling Yan frowned. He hid in the crowd and fanned the flames, saying, "Elder Feng, Jiang Haotian and we will be brothers in the future. Is there a need to hide like this?" "That's right. Elder Feng, aren't you being a little too biased?" I still don't believe that Jiang Haotian's spiritual power can reach the 8th level. Everyone was dissatisfied. The old man in black frowned and shouted, "Do you all have nothing to do? Get the hell out of here." The group of disciples shut their mouths, and the scene instantly quieted down. Feng Cheng patted the black-clothed old man's shoulder and said with a smile, "Hey, old Mo, don't be so serious. You'll scare them." The old man in black said angrily, "You're still talking about me? If it weren't for you always spoiling them, would they dare to be so mischievous here? I don't agree with that. They're still children now. We should give them enough love and care to let them feel at home in the pill hall. We can't keep a straight face and scold them all day, forget it. You're just a stubborn old man. You won't understand even if I tell you." After Feng Cheng finished speaking, he waved his hand and took out a table from his Qiankuan pouch. He placed it on the ground, then looked at the group of disciples and chuckled, "Same old rules. This old man will be the banker. You all place your bets. Let's bet on how many days Jiang Haotian can condense his spiritual power. 1 day, 1 to 10. 2 days, 1 to 5. 3 days, 1 to 2. At this moment, he was just like a gambler. The group of disciples beamed with joy and surrounded Feng Cheng. "Feng Cheng, that's enough." Elder Mo shouted. His face was dark and his veins were popping out. Those disciples' expressions stiffened. They wanted to place their bets, but they didn't dare to. Feng Cheng turned his head and looked at Elder Mo. He frowned and said, "If you don't like it, you don't have to watch. No one is forcing you, okay? You're really disrespectful. If you continue like this, their future will be ruined by your hands sooner or later." Elder Mo strode to the other side. He was so angry that his body was trembling. As an elder of the pill hall, he didn't act like an elder at all. What kind of scandal was this? This was simply humiliating the pill hall. "Come, don't bother about him. Let's continue." Feng Cheng waved his hand at those disciples. Those disciples looked at each other. In the end, they couldn't resist the temptation and surrounded Feng Cheng to place their bets. On this side, there was laughter and joy. On the other side, Elder Mo was sulking alone. "Jiang Haotian, you must condense your spiritual power within a day," he muttered to himself. There was another rule in this bet. That was, if the person who was bet on could condense his spiritual power in advance, then everyone would lose. And all the bets would be placed on the person who was bet on. In other words, if Qin Feiyang could condense his spiritual power within a day, then everyone's bets would go into his pocket. As for the banker, Feng Cheng, he wouldn't get a single cent. However, condensing his spiritual power within a day was something that had never happened before in the pill hall of Black Bear City. Time passed quickly. An hour later. Along with a boom, the stone door slowly opened. Qin Feiyang strode out. Feng Cheng turned around and asked curiously, "Why did you come out?" "Because you guys are too noisy." Before Qin Feiyang could speak, Elder Mo snorted coldly. He turned around and looked at Qin Feiyang. He smiled and said, "I'll ask them to scram immediately. You continue to condense your spiritual power." Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them suspiciously. He then looked at Ling Yan and the others. Suddenly, he understood. He cupped his hands and said, "Thank you for your concern, Elder Mo. But there's no need." Elder Mo frowned and said, "Why not? Have you given up?" Qin Feiyang was startled. His expression was a little strange. If this person knew that the person he was concerned about was the madman who robbed the herb field, how would he react? He would probably kill him on the spot. So now, his real identity must not be exposed. After collecting himself, Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said, "Elder, I'm not giving up. It's because I've already condensed my spiritual power." "Oh, so that's how it is." Elder Mo nodded. He turned around and was about to leave. However, he suddenly turned around and stared at Qin Feiyang. He said, "What did you just say? Say it again immediately." Feng Cheng, Ling Yan and the others were the same as Elder Mo. At first, they didn't pay much attention to it. However, the next moment, they all stared at Qin Feiyang in shock. Could it be that I accidentally created a new record? Qin Feiyang mumbled. He didn't realize how shocking it was to condense his spiritual power in an hour. Cough cough. Chapter 65. Whoosh! Under everyone's gaze, a white beam of light suddenly flew out from Qin Feiyang's head and gathered in his palm. This was mental energy with a form. Like a strand of hair, it had a hazy luster and emitted an obscure aura. It's really mental energy. Quick, calculate, how long did he take? Feng Cheng and the others were dumbfounded and filled with disbelief. Half an hour. Elder Mo swallowed his water and said with difficulty. As soon as he said that, this place instantly exploded into an uproar. How is it possible to condense mental energy in half an hour? Back then, even senior brother Cheng Yi took a full day and a half. Jiang Haotian, tell us honestly, have you already condensed mental energy before? Someone questioned, unable to accept this fact. One of them was Ling Yan. What nonsense are you all talking about? You can't deny others just because you can't do it. Feng Qing shouted, his face was unprecedentedly serious. What's wrong? Why are you all standing here? At this moment, Luo Xiong's voice came from afar. He strode over, looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, why aren't you condensing mental energy? But as soon as he finished speaking, he noticed the mental energy floating in Qin Feiyang's palm. His body suddenly stiffened. You condensed mental energy so quickly? He was stunned for a long time before regaining his senses. He smiled and said, your matter has been settled. You can rest assured and stay in Black Bear City. No one will dare to do anything to you. Qin Feiyang was overjoyed. He hurriedly withdrew his mental energy back into his sea of consciousness and cupped his hands. Thank you, Hall Master. Luo Xiong looked at the disciples behind him and whispered into Qin Feiyang's ears, also, don't tell anyone about your mental energy level. Because a level 9 mental energy will make people jealous. I understand. Qin Feiyang nodded. Luo Xiong smiled and turned to look at the disciples. He smiled and said, who will bring Jiang Haotian to familiarize himself with the environment of the pill hall? Me. Ling Yan stood out immediately. Luo Xiong's eyes flashed slightly as he nodded. All right, take Jiang Haotian for a stroll and take him to get his identity token. Yes. Ling Yan bowed and replied. Luo Xiong waved his hand and said, all right, everyone, disperse. The group of disciples dispersed in a hubbub and quickly spread the news. Jiang Haotian, wait a moment. Just as Qin Feiyang was about to leave, Elder Mo called out to him. Qin Feiyang turned around and looked at him in confusion. However, Elder Mo looked at Feng Cheng and said with a frown, aren't you going to hand over those bets? Are you trying to pocket them? Bet? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. Ling Yan explained in a low voice. At this time, Qin Feiyang realized that he had unexpectedly obtained an unexpected fortune. Of course. He wouldn't hold back either. After obtaining all the bets, Qin Feiyang turned around and left. However, just as he turned around, Luo Xiong suddenly said, Jiang Haotian, I have news that I think you will be very interested in. Because of the merit of reporting you, Ling Yunfei joined the martial arts hall under the recommendation of the city lord. A cold light flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes. He cupped his hands and said, thank you, Hall Master, for telling me. At the same time, Ling Clan's meeting hall. The Ling Clan head sat on the main seat with a gloomy face. Beside him, Ling Yunfei and Ling Sheng, the two young men and woman, stood side by side with their heads lowered and didn't speak. However, it could be seen that Ling Yunfei was very agitated now. He clenched his fists tightly, and his body was faintly trembling. Ling Sheng and the other two looked at Ling Yunfei, but their eyes were filled with cold light. Yunfei. The Ling clan head suddenly spoke with a faint smile on his face. Ling Yunfei hurriedly said, "Yes, sir. Although our Ling clan lost a lot of gold coins this time, fortunately, the city lord recommended you to join the martial arts hall." The Ling clan head laughed. Ling Yunfei bowed and said, "Second uncle, don't worry. Yunfei will work hard." And the Ling clan head nodded and laughed. "Second uncle also believes that you will work hard. However, not everyone's hard work will yield results. Yunfei, second uncle wants to discuss with you." "Second uncle, please speak." A strong sense of uneasiness rose in Ling Yunfei's heart. "Your talent is not outstanding. Even if you join the martial arts hall, you won't have any achievements in the future. You won't be able to bring much benefit to the Ling clan. Second uncle wants you to give this opportunity to Ling Sheng." The Ling clan head said. "What?" Ling Yunfei's body trembled, and his face instantly turned pale. "Thank you, father." Ling Sheng was overjoyed. When he looked at Ling Yunfei again, there was no more coldness in his eyes. There was only pride. The other two were a little envious, but more than that, they were gloating over Ling Feiyang's misfortune. The Ling clan head laughed and said, "Yunfei, second uncle knows that you must be feeling very uncomfortable right now. However, don't worry. As long as you agree, second uncle promises that he will treat you well in the future." "Treat," Ling Yunfei muttered to himself. His eyes were filled with grief. He thought of Qin Feiyang's words. "The people you care about will soon beat you into the bottomless abyss again." Originally, he thought that everything he did would change everyone's view of him. However, the result was not so. Because of his kindness, these people in front of him became even worse. "No, I don't want to. This is an opportunity that I won with my own hard work. Why should I give it to Ling Sheng? Second uncle, this is not fair." He couldn't help but roar. This was the first time he complained about injustice for himself. However, what he got in return was merciless mockery. "Hard work? Can you not make it sound so nice? Didn't you betray your friends in exchange for this opportunity? Go out and take a look. Now in Black Bear City, who doesn't despise you behind your back? A treacherous person like you, even if you die, no one will sympathize with you." Ling Sheng and the other two sneered. Every word was like a sharp blade, ruthlessly stabbing into Ling Yunfei's heart. The smile on the Ling clan head's face turned into a sneer. His eyes were filled with disdain, as if he was looking at a clown. Ling Yunfei glanced at the four of them. His hands clenched tightly, and he said word by word, "Second uncle, no matter what others think of me, I will not give this opportunity to Ling Sheng. You're courting death." Ling Sheng was instantly filled with hostility. He slapped Ling Yunfei's face and said disdainfully, "If it weren't for the fact that you and I are related by blood, I would have killed you long ago." Ling Yunfei covered his burning face and gloomily stared at Ling Sheng. "You dare to glare at me? I'll cripple you today." Ling Sheng kicked again, and Ling Yunfei was sent flying on the spot. With a bang, he rolled on the ground. The Ling clan head shouted, "Sheng, that's enough. He's your cousin after all." "Cousin? Is he worthy?" Ling Sheng sneered and strode forward. He stomped on Ling Yunfei's face with all his strength. Ling Yunfei was in so much pain that his entire body convulsed, and his facial features began to distort. "Brother Sheng, don't be like this. You don't have to be so angry with this kind of trash." The two young men and women hurriedly ran forward, pulling and persuading him. "Let go!" Ling Sheng shouted. The two of them looked at each other, helplessly let go, and took a few steps back. Ling Xing retracted his foot and looked down at Ling Yunfei. With a murderous aura, he said, "You bastard, let me tell you, don't be so shameless. Otherwise, next year today will be your death anniversary." Ling Yunfei clenched his fists. His fingernails had already sunk into his palms, and fresh blood was flowing out. However, it was as if he didn't feel pain. In the depths of his eyes, there was still murderous intent surging. But in the end, these murderous intents were hidden by him. He crawled up with difficulty and said, "I entered the martial arts hall because of the city lord's recommendation. If I give it to Ling Xing now, I'm afraid the city lord will blame me and the Ling clan." He was making a final effort to fight for a last chance for himself. "You don't have to worry about this. I will personally look for the city lord to explain this matter. Now, you can get lost. In addition, if I hear any rumors outside, I don't need to say anything. You should be very clear about the consequences." The Ling clan head said indifferently. Ling Yunfei's body and mind trembled as he looked at the four people in front of him. Was he still a member of the Ling clan? Were these people still his family? He turned around and walked out step by step, his heart bleeding. "Why are you doing this to me? What did I do wrong?" He muttered to himself, his face filled with helplessness and despair. "Trash." Ling Xing looked at him with disdain. He turned around and ran to the Ling clan head. He smiled and said, "Father, thank you." The Ling clan head smiled and said, "You are my son. Of course, I will side with you. But you have to remember, after entering the martial arts hall, you have to work hard for me." Ling Xing patted his chest and said, "Father, don't worry. I will definitely not disappoint you. Brother Sheng, congratulations. After entering the martial arts hall, don't forget to take care of us." The two young men and women went up and flattered him with a face full of flattery. "I will definitely not forget you. Tonight, I will treat you to a drink. Let's not go home until we are drunk." Ling Xing laughed in high spirits. In the main hall, there was laughter. Ling Yunfei squatted alone in a corner, crying sadly. Pill Hall. Under Ling Yan's lead, Qin Feiyang went to all the places in the pill hall. Along the way, Ling Yan kept trying to trick Qin Feiyang, but he didn't succeed every time. After receiving the identity token, Ling Yan suggested that they go to a restaurant to have a few drinks. It was considered as a welcoming dinner for Qin Feiyang. But Qin Feiyang didn't agree. He said goodbye and went their separate ways. Because he could tell that Ling Yan was up to no good. After a while, Qin Feiyang entered a hall and came to a closed door. He cupped his hands and said, "Elder Feng, I have something to ask of you. Come in." Feng Cheng's voice came from inside. Qin Feiyang pushed the door and entered. He saw Feng Cheng sitting in front of the desk and writing something. Feng Cheng didn't even raise his head and said, "Close the door." After Qin Feiyang closed the door, he turned around and walked to the side of the desk. He stuck his head out and looked. Body tempering pill. These three words immediately entered his line of sight. So he was writing a pill recipe. "Go over there and sit for a while." Feng Cheng pointed at the tea table at the side. Chapter 66. At the same time, Ling Yan entered Cheng Yi's alchemy room. Cheng Yi put down the work in his hands and asked, "How's the investigation going?" Ling Yan shook his head and said, "This Jiang Haotian is too vigilant. No matter what I do, I can't get any information from him." Cheng Yi's eyes darkened. Ling Yan thought for a while and said, "Senior brother Cheng Yi, your position in the pill hall is higher than mine. Why don't you go and invite him personally? I believe he won't refuse." Personally? Cheng Yi frowned. He really couldn't put down his face. "Senior brother, for the sake of your future, it's okay to lower your head once in a while. Ling Yan said with a flattering smile. Bring me to him. Cheng Yi pondered for a while. In the end, he still decided to meet this person personally. Phew. In the room. Feng Qing put down the brush in his hand and let out a long sigh. He smiled and said, Jiang Haotian, come here. Qin Feiyang stood up and quickly walked to the desk. There were 4 bamboo slips on the desk. Feng Hua pushed the 4 bamboo slips in front of Qin Feiyang and explained, these 4 pill recipes are the healing pill, bone replenishing pill, body tempering pill, and qi gathering pill. Qin Feiyang grabbed them one by one and looked at them carefully. Every kind of pill required several kinds of medicinal herbs to be refined. I've already written down the refining method, so I won't say much. I'll just say one thing. During the entire process of refining the pill, you must remember not to be distracted or impatient. Furthermore, you must not change the steps of the refinement without permission. Otherwise, all the medicinal ingredients will be wasted. There's one more thing, and it's the most important thing. Everyone's mental strength is limited. Even if you have 9th level mental strength, it's the same. When you refine pills in the future, if your mental strength is about to be used up, you'd rather give up than continue. Because the consequences are very serious. It will hurt your soul. Feng Qing warned. Hurt the soul. Qin Feiyang was shocked. He nodded and said, I'll remember. Feng Qing asked, is there anything else you don't understand? Yes, where are the herbs? Qin Feiyang asked. Feng Qing smiled and said, you'll have to find the herbs yourself. What? Qin Feiyang was startled. He frowned and said, could it be that the pill hall didn't provide the ingredients? Feng Qing joked, when you find a wife in the future, does the pill hall have to provide you with one too? Do you need the pill hall's help when you enter the bridal chamber? A row of black lines immediately appeared on Qin Feiyang's forehead. He rolled his eyes and laughed mischievously, Elder, do you have a granddaughter? Feng Qing nodded. Yes, why? Qin Feiyang pretended to think deeply and said, why don't you let your granddaughter marry me? After all, my talent is not low and my appearance is not bad. Your granddaughter will not lose out if she marries me. Ugh. Feng Qing was stunned. Brat, I think you're looking for a beating. Then he flew into a rage, grabbed the inkstone on the table, and threw it at Qin Feiyang. Elder, think about it carefully. Your granddaughter will not lose out if she marries me. Qin Feiyang tilted his head and dodged the flying inkstone. He grabbed the 4 bamboo slips, left behind a sentence, and quickly ran away. Brat, run if you dare. Feng Qing stood up and shouted angrily. I'll be a fool if I don't run. Qin Feiyang ran out of the room without looking back. He pulled the door and closed it with a bang. Brat, if I have the chance, I'll teach you a lesson, but I can really think about it. I can play matchmaker for them. Feng Qing returned to his seat and lowered his head to think. If Qin Feiyang heard this, he would definitely bang his head against the wall. Walking out of the main hall, Qin Feiyang saw Ling Yan and Cheng Yi. Jiang Haotian, come, come. Let me introduce you. This is senior brother Cheng Yi. He's the only level 6 alchemist in our Black Bear City Pill Hall. Ling Yan acted as if he was meeting an old friend. He immediately went up and pulled Qin Feiyang in front of Cheng Yi and introduced him. Level 6 mental power. Qin Feiyang felt a chill in his heart. He glanced at the two of them, and his heart suddenly brightened. He cupped his hands and smiled, I've heard a lot about you, senior brother. I hope you can take care of me in the future. Cheng Yi smiled, we're all disciples of the Pill Hall. You don't have to be so polite. Another person who hides a knife in his smile. Qin Feiyang thought to himself. He could tell this person's character with just a glance. He asked, I wonder if senior brother is here for me? Or for Elder Feng? Ling Yan smiled. Jiang Haotian, senior brother Cheng Yi is here for you. When he heard that you came to the pill hall, he immediately rushed over and wanted to treat you to a few drinks. I'm afraid it's not as simple as just drinking. Qin Feiyang sneered and nodded. Senior brother is so kind to invite me. How would I dare to reject? Please. Cheng Yi smiled even more brightly. This person didn't accept Ling Yan's invitation before. However, he accepted Ling Yan's invitation without hesitation. This meant that his position in the pill hall was indeed different. Under the influence of his vanity, he felt that he had gained a lot of face. After the three of them left the pill hall, they chatted and laughed all the way until they entered a restaurant. Cheng Yi didn't only have a high position in the pill hall. He also had a certain amount of prestige in the entire Black Bear City. When they entered the restaurant, the waiter welcomed them warmly. However, Qin Feiyang wasn't welcomed. Along the way, he was criticized by many people. However, he turned a deaf ear to them. The fact that he didn't report it was deliberately spread by the three big families. It had already spread throughout the Black Bear City. Everyone even blamed the deaths of those people on him. If it wasn't because he was a disciple of the pill hall now, if it wasn't because he had the support of the three big leaders of the pill hall, everyone in the city wouldn't let him go. The waiter brought the three of them to the private room on the second floor. However, just when they reached the staircase, an ear-piercing shout could be heard in the hall. Waiter, give me another bottle of wine. This voice was very familiar. It was Ling Yunfei. Qin Feiyang stopped and turned his head to look at the source of the voice. He saw Ling Yunfei sitting in a corner of the hall. He looked like he had lost his soul and was drunk. Why is he here? Ling Yan was surprised. Didn't he enter the martial arts hall under the recommendation of the city lord? Why is he here alone? Ling Yan, you're a disciple of the Ling family. Do you know what's going on? Cheng Yi asked doubtfully. A disciple of the Ling family. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with a bright light. I didn't go back today. I don't know what's going on. Ling Yan shook his head. Why aren't you serving the wine? Are you afraid that I can't afford it? Let me tell you, I have plenty of money. Ling Yunfei shouted. What's the rush? It's coming. The waiter behind the counter shouted impatiently. He picked up a bottle of wine and looked at Qin Feiyang who was standing at the staircase. His eyes were filled with disgust. Then, he walked towards Ling Yunfei unhurriedly. Cheng Yi smiled and said, Junior brother Jiang, there's no need to sympathize with this kind of person. Let's go up. Qin Feiyang nodded. Although it's despicable that someone didn't report it, it's even more despicable that he betrayed his friends. There's no need to sympathize with this kind of scum. The waiter who led the way walked in front and said insinuatingly. His eyes were filled with disdain. What are you talking about? Do you think we don't exist? If you talk nonsense again, I'll cripple you. Ling Yan said in a deep voice. Sorry. It's a slip of the tongue. Please forgive me. The waiter's body stiffened. He hurriedly turned around and apologized. Lead the way. Ling Yan waved his hand impatiently. The waiter didn't dare to say anything else. He led the three of them into a private room and asked, What do you need? Cheng Yi smiled and said, Good wine and dishes. Bring them all up. Okay, I'll arrange it now. Please wait a moment. The waiter smiled flatteringly and left the room. Brother Sheng, come. Congratulations on entering the martial arts hall. Brother Sheng, let's drink until we're drunk tonight. Okay, let's toast. Ha! A burst of laughter came from the room next door. The walls were soundproof, so it was a little blurry. However, Qin Feiyang and the other two could hear it clearly. It's Ling Sheng. When did he enter the martial arts hall? Ling Yan frowned. He stood up and said, "Senior brother Cheng Yi, I'll go next door to take a look. You guys chat first." Cheng Yi nodded. After Ling Yan left, Cheng Yi smiled and said, "Junior brother Haotian, I've heard about your matter. You should be wary of Ling Yan." "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang was a little surprised. Was Cheng Yi trying to play the emotional card with him? Since they were going to play, then let's play properly. He pretended to be puzzled and asked, "What do you mean?" Cheng Yi whispered, "You have a grudge with the Ling clan. They definitely won't let it go easily. Ling Yan is trying his best to get close to you. I'm sure he's up to no good." Qin Feiyang wanted to laugh. This person was really good at acting. If it was a brainless person, they would definitely believe Cheng Yi's words and pour their heart out to him. However, Qin Feiyang wasn't that stupid. He nodded and smiled. "Senior brother is right. I'll be careful in the future." Cheng Yi nodded and smiled. "If you have any difficulties in the future, feel free to look for me. I won't refuse to help if I can." Qin Feiyang said gratefully, "Thank you, senior brother." Cheng Yi said, "Junior brother Haotian, there's something I can't figure out. Can you tell me the truth? Is it finally starting?" Qin Feiyang sneered secretly and said, "Senior brother can just say it." Cheng Yi said doubtfully, "Two elders are protecting you at the same time. This has never happened in the pill hall. Your mental strength must be quite high. Of course, if you don't want to say it, I won't force you." Qin Feiyang laughed casually. "Why can't I say it? To be honest, my mental strength is only at the 5th level." "5th level?" Cheng Yi was stunned. What kind of joke was this? 5th level mental strength, was there a need for the Hall Master to reward him with 100,000 gold coins? 5th level mental strength, was there a need for 2 elders to protect him personally? Who are you trying to fool? Senior brother, I'm not lying to you. I really only have 5th level mental strength. As for the Hall Master and the others being nice to me, it's purely because I'm engaged to Elder Feng's granddaughter." Qin Feiyang's face didn't turn red, and his heart didn't skip a beat. "There's such a thing?" Cheng Yi was surprised. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled bitterly. "Senior brother, I'll tell you the truth. Actually, I don't like his granddaughter at all. But his granddaughter keeps pestering me. I can't do anything about it. So it's just a person with connections. To think that I spent so much time scheming. What a waste of time." Cheng Yi muttered in disdain, but at the same time, he was envious. Elder Feng did have a granddaughter. Not only was she beautiful, but her talent in martial arts was also extraordinary. 2 years ago, an elder of the Martial Imperial Palace personally came to Black Bear City to bring her to Yen City. It was a blessing for any man to be fancied by such a talented girl. But this bastard was actually unwilling. He really didn't know how lucky he was. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.